6:01, good morning, live from the Circus Sports at the Mid-Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Jocelyn Hawkins. The Titans are hiring Aaron Whitecotton as the new run game coordinator and defensive line coach. It was announced yesterday per multiple sources. Whitecotton had multiple defensive coordinator interviews this cycle, and his unit was a top 5 in quarterback hits last season with 73. Robert Saleh's staff is now starting to take shape. In other NFL news, the Commanders are finalizing a deal to hire Vikings defensive passing game coordinator and defensive back coach Durante Jones as their new defensive coordinator. The Chargers are officially hiring Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel is their next offensive coordinator. And a couple of Pro Bowl changes as Patriots quarterback Drake May and Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold will no longer participate in the games due to making the Super Bowl. Taking their place will be Browns rookie quarterback Shadur Sanders, replacing May. And for Lions quarterback Jared Goff, he will replace Sam Darnold. Tonight in college hoops, big matchup in Nashville as number 18 Vanderbilt hosts Kentucky at Memorial Gymnasium with an 8 p.m. tip-off on ESPN. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Away we go into your Tuesday morning in beautiful, icy Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome in to Ramon and Will, the show that's going to do such a good show today that maybe we too can earn a Pro Bowl nod. Justin Hawkins has made his way in from the borough. Ramon Foster is in humble Hendersonville. I'm Will Bowling, 615-737-1045. We've got good hoops. We've got a staff that's taking shape for Robert Saleh, and we've got another way to introduce Ramon Foster. Not only is he 11-year NFL veteran involved for life, not only is he a Vol Network analyst, not only is he very important for the NFL Players Association, a middle school football coach in humble Hendersonville and simple Sumner, he is an All-American dad who is now 40 under 40. At the University of Tennessee. Good morning, Ramon.
Hey, golly, whenever I need an intro, I will
just call me.
Contacting you.
Yeah, you got my number.
I'll pay for that one. I'll pay for that one, man, just so you know.
This one's on the house. $250 a pop after this.
Every time after that,
that's right.
It's a steak dinner.
That's
okay,
right.
I got you, man. I appreciate that. I got that information, man, before I turned 40. I saw a lot of people with their jokes. So I thought you had to be under 40. Ha ha, Jonathan Schaefer and the rest of you guys, okay? But I got the notification in December sometime that it was going to happen. And the rules were, as I saw it, was that you can be 40, but as long as you got the alert that it happened under 40, then you were good to go. So it's pretty cool, man. It was one of those things that I won't lie to you. There are some non-football accomplishments, not the Pro Bowl. There's some non-football accomplishments that I wanted in life, and that was one of them, man. The 40 under 40 is a super unique group. Will, I'm hoping you make it, man. I'm sure you will at some point in time. If I have to, I'll nominate you myself. But that was the only thing, though, too, is I actually saw it, and I was just like, man, I should probably fill this out. And, Will, can I be honest with you?
Of course.
My athlete side showed up, and I was just like, well, I don't know if I want to fill out all of this. You got to fill out a lot of paperwork, put your accolades up there, your community service and your tenure. Did you graduate the University of Tennessee and all that type of stuff? And I just stopped. And I was just like, man, I'm about to be over 40 anyway, even though I knew the rules. And lo and behold, I guess somebody did it on my behalf. So whoever you were.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't even submit it. So whoever you are, I appreciate you. I'm going to figure out who it was at some point in time. But that is one of those accomplishments post-football that I did want, if that makes sense.
It absolutely makes sense. You are essentially Jemai Meshack hitting a shot at the buzzer to have just turned 40 and then be honored for 40 under 40. You're Kawhi Leonard with the ball hanging on the rim and then ultimately falling in, and you're 40 under 40. At age
Squat
40.
down as the ball goes in.
That's exactly right.
They're having a huge weekend forward too, man. There'll be a luncheon like late in February that we'll go to. They'll introduce us at the Tennessee-Alabama basketball game. We'll see a pro play against the Vols.
Maybe.
Leave that right there.
I don't know if he'll still be on the roster at that point, but maybe.
With the contributions that he made and did not help them win, I mean, that is definitely something to take notice to. But with that being said, man, I'm more than honored, man. I'm on there with Trey Smith.
Yeah. So there will be 2 professional athletes at the Tennessee-Alabama game. We'll see if there's a third one that's playing for Alabama, but there will be 2 professional athletes that'll be in attendance.
I love it. But I was looking at some of the folks' accomplishments on the list, though, man. A lot of decorated people that were there. You realize how big and how wide University of Tennessee's network is with the amount of people in different schools that they came from, with where they graduated at. I had a good friend of mine that you know how it is with your friends. They'll congratulate you, but also hate on you at the same time.
No doubt.
So he was like, congratulations, lucky for you. They didn't have it in 2021 when I was over 40 at the time. I was like, look, that's above me, sir. You should have been born in 86 or later, okay?
That's how you know you have a good friend.
That's how you know you have a good friend.
That's what you want.
How are you today, man?
I'm good. Good. Interesting. Some of the roads this morning coming in are, again, worse. Like the parking lot of my building is just black ice, just everywhere. But then once you get on main roads around downtown, it is smooth sailing. This is not me encouraging anyone to come downtown. Please do not come downtown unless you absolutely have to and have to go to work. However, if you are like me and are still without power for now well over 24 hours and you need to get out and get some heat or go somewhere or bring home food, it is not nearly as treacherous as even it was yesterday.
So you mentioned the power part, man. So in my neighborhood, there was our section, which is slightly older, than there's a new section too. Well, my neighbor next door to me, man, hit me up asking me if I had some space heaters and anything else. And I was just like, well, you can stay at our house. Here's the issue that they have. They also have 2 dogs. And I was just like, you guys are more than welcome to stay at the house. My neighbor behind them offered to stay, let them stay at the house too, but they got the dogs and they don't want to leave the dogs behind and stuff like that overnight. So he's got a generator. He's running a space heater that we have, and I gave him a propane tank also with the heater attachments on it as well. And I was asking him questions as he was taking stuff from us last night. Well, we still have power, still don't have internet, and I'm working off the Wi-Fi, but I'm not going to complain. Will, our neighborhood is set up in 2 sections.
Okay.
It's our section and the other. There are 3 houses showing up on the other section. Those are the only 3 in the entire neighborhood that is out of power right now. And I'm just like, how do you mix up wires like that to where
for real,
only 3 houses aren't on the same grid or whatever? But I offered him to stay at our crib. He elected not to, but at the same point in time, I get the dogs component of it as well. Don't want to be bringing random dogs into people's houses and stuff. But either way, I think they lasted last night. Either way, I'm gonna check in on them all in a minute.
Yeah, it's the overnight part that's hard right now. Like I've never slept in so many clothes as I have the last 2 nights to try to stay warm and put like every blanket on top of me. I am very, very, very picky about how I have to sleep. Like I have to be positioned a certain way. Probably terrible for my back, but that's okay. I'll deal with those problems later when I'm no longer eligible for 40 under 40. And I'm most sad about my groceries because I did do my due diligence before all of this happened, and I loaded up, and I was going to make like my signature dish, which is an Italian sausage pasta with toasted breadcrumbs and bacon bits, like drizzled on top of it, like a homemade sauce that I always make on Sunday to watch the NFC Championship. And about 2 p.m. on Sunday, I was out. So we are still waiting on power to come back. The NES, I was checking the outages this morning. They are down to about 130,000 customers on NES without power, which you raise your eyebrows at that. That's pretty good considering it was well over 200,000 at one point yesterday. So we're getting there. And I can't thank enough the NES people that are working because as the mayor said on our show yesterday, there are people working like 14 to 16 hour shifts out there in the cold where the feels like temperature is zero or lower at this point. So appreciate all they're doing. I look forward to benefiting from their work hopefully soon today.
No doubt. Jeez. Well, that's actually pretty wild. Did you know, I was watching a show Naked and Afraid, and these people chose to stay on like the Alaskan tundra.
Oh,
I couldn't imagine sleeping outside at night with no clothes on. And here you are telling me, of course, like a lot of people in the mid-state right now, uncomfortable sleeping in a house with no heat on right now, man.
It's not great.
We did our no, not great at all. I don't see why anybody would sign up for a TV show like that. We're checking on a lot of folks, though, at the same time. I think a lot of people in Belle Meade area just now getting their power back as well, too. My son has a few friends out there, and they were without their power, I think, for the last 3 days as well. So said their house is like at 40 degrees.
Yeah, we're probably not far away.
Yours?
I mean, I there's no way to. The thermostat's totally off, so it's not great. It is really not great. So hopefully that is back today. I don't know. At this point, I've made it long enough and understand how to. I mean, there's nothing to understand. You just keep breathing and keep putting one foot in front of the other. So it just kind of is what it is at this point, and it'll come back eventually. What I keep thinking is when we're doing like 90-degree soccer games at Nashville SC and sitting on the beach or something and it's 100 degrees, we're going to be wishing for this. We're going to think about this. So
yeah,
there's always something to be thankful for. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your parents good too, by the way? I didn't ask them about them yet.
Yeah, everybody's good.
Okay, all right, for sure.
Well, everybody's had different challenges around the whole family, but we're making it.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. If you want to jump in, you are in your car out and about this morning. We're live at the 1045 The Zone Circus Sports Studio. Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found at Circus Sports at Kentucky Downs. Coming up, the hire the Titans made on defense, according to multiple reports last night, and a recap of the SEC football transfer portal, the team that added the most, and a look locally at Tennessee and Vanderbilt and their respective halls coming up next. So while we wait for an offensive coordinator hire, Robert Saleh is putting together his defensive staff. And yesterday we got a report about one addition coming from the NFC. It's Ramon and Will, 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster and Will Bowling at Ramon and Will, where you get the show on Twitter. Ian Rappaport says the Titans are hiring Aaron Whitecotton as the new run game coordinator and defensive line coach. That is a promotion for him, who had multiple defensive coordinator interviews this cycle. Dallas, despite its issues on defense, was top 5 in QB hits last season. He was the assistant D-line coach with Saleh in San Francisco in 2020, and when Robert Saleh took the Jets job in 2021, Aaron Whitecotton was the Jets defensive line coach. Ramon, on paper, good hire, solid addition.
Yeah, definitely for the style that Robert Saleh, his defense always seems to play when it comes down to the attack, getting after the quarterback and disrupting them. If I'm not mistaken, their sack total this year in San Francisco under Robert Saleh wasn't that high. Robert Saleh's defense was, but they get after you. They get you off of your spot. And they have guys that have high motors, reckless at the point of attack, and also just want to penetrate as much as they possibly can as far as getting in the backfield. So this aligns with what he's wanting out of a defensive line coach. Makes sense to me, especially if you have a guy that's also being interviewed for DC jobs as well. He's going for, in my opinion, it seems to be for a mature staff that understands what they're doing, and each department is going to have his own task that he can trust in these guys to do their job. Familiarity also plays a part with him, considering they both have worked together too. So solid hire for a guy that he definitely knows.
Dallas this past season was second in the NFL with 73 quarterback knockdowns. Their 74.0 pass rush grade as a team was 13th in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus. Despite that, though, they only finished 26th in the NFL in sack rate last season, Dallas. Donovan Ezaraku was not great as a rookie, their second-round pick at a Boston college, just a sack and a half for him. Dante Fowler, who had 10.5 sacks in Washington in 24, only had 3.5 sacks this past season for Dallas. And of the full-time starters, only Quinnen Williams, who was with Whitecotton and Saleh with the New York Jets as well, and Jadeveon Clowney finished with a pass rush win rate north of 15%. So not the best season for the Dallas defense in any context. I mean, they were not good defensively this past season. Yeah. But Aaron Whitecotton's defensive lines in New York were always good. Top 12 in pressure percentage, top 7 in sacks every year he was with the Jets. Bryce Huff had 10-plus sacks in 2023 under his leadership. Jermaine Johnson, a young player in that Jets organization, had 7.5 sacks in 2023 in a Pro Bowl season with Robert Saleh and Aaron Whitecotton. And Will McDonald had double-digit sacks in 2024 under their leadership as well.
I'm going to sound anti when I say this because we bring it up all the time. And I don't know, I guess anti-football when I bring it up, because even I look at the stat line and hold it accountable when it comes down to what it means. But it's fascinating when you mention like what style that Whitecotton teaches and what they ask of their guys versus their production in the end. And the production that everybody's looking for is always sacks. Sacks play a huge part in the game. It creates negativity. It creates momentum for defense. It solidifies guys' hard work when it boils down to, them getting to the prize possession. And that's the quarterback. The unique part about sacks is this, though, too. I think there's numerous ways that you can, like categorize what success as far as your defensive line goes. Now, I'm not minimizing sack. If guys go get double-digit sacks, numerous guys on the defensive line, are you leading the league? Cool. But here's the thing about them I've always said, and this is probably my offensive line side coming out. What good is a sack if we still get that first down afterwards? Like to teach and coach guys how to finish is a very unique skill set, I think. But disrupting a quarterback and making him, then in the old Sam Darnold world, see ghosts and be scared to throw the football, or you find yourself in a Jarrett Stidham situation where pressure in his face doesn't allow him to throw the football, and he can't. You know what I'm saying? He really questions himself. I think there's a skill set, Will, in a category that should be had for that more often than just say, "Hey, we're getting sacks." I used to laugh at him because, all right, yeah, I gave one up, but guess what? You're still out here for the next 6 plays, and we scored after the fact because that sack didn't hurt us too much.
Right. Well, to your point, also, according to Football Reference, the Cowboys this past season led the league in hurry percentage. They hurried the quarterback and hurried the throw 14% of the time. The other issue is their secondary was so bad, they gave up the third most yards after catch on completions in the NFL this season, with only Cincinnati and surprisingly Seattle as the only two teams who were worse in that department. That's the other thing, is that, of course, you're not going to get a lot of sacks if your defensive backs are so bad, which they were, and guys are so open that the quarterback doesn't have to wait long to throw to a guy that's open.
Yeah. See, now that's the problem right there. If you just can't get to them, if you're affecting them, that's a different conversation right there. But it's a tall thing. It's a skill set, and it's also just guys being disciplined and not being selfish too. When you look at, hey, this is the gap you're supposed to be in because we're supposed to box him in and funnel him to the left or to the right. It's you want smart rushers is what I'll always say. You hear me say this all the time in the studio. I hate a dumb rusher or immature rusher. When you know you're not getting to the quarterback, get your hands up, bat a football down, or hey, get him off his spot just a little bit. Those are the types of things I like to see from a D-line rush. But of course, I think we knew this defense and watching Robert Saleh's 49ers defense that it was going to be attacking, and he went and got a guy in white cotton, man, that fits the bill a little bit more so. I know Jeff will probably enjoy that one.
Yes.
The fact that he can tee off and just get upfield and don't have to worry about anything else, that is a luxury right there. As a former offensive lineman, I tell you this, that's a headache. All day long knowing that the guy in front of you and after him is just going to be a torpedo every single play. Freaking idiot defensive lineman.
Sound a little hurt by that.
I do. Just a little bit, Will, because you don't understand. Well, you do understand.
I don't understand. There's no world where I can understand what it's like blocking human beings like Jeffrey Simmons. That is all you, my friend.
Let me just explain it to like the people that like haven't been in this spot before. Like, it's one thing to like practice and you're the best high school player. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, I can handle this. But when it's 1% versus 1%, meaning best of the best, and you know this, the TVs are on. Your job is always on the line because if he embarrasses you, you're going to be the conversation of draft. You know what I'm saying? The topic of draft conversation next year. How do we not allow this to happen again? So you mean to tell me I got 70 plays in me and this defensive lineman only got about 35 because they rotate? Okay, how about playing 70 plays a game first? Let's start there, okay, Will? But not only just that, let's talk about the mindset of it. Run or pass. If it's a run game, okay, what if he's in the inside A gap of me and like he's already beat me leverage wise? So I got to figure out a way. How I'm a step. Am I strong enough to cut him off? Am I quick enough to get to the point before he does? And if I am, will he actually, just olay me and go behind me? Okay, so that's that scenario. This is just penetrating defensive lineman. Okay, if I meet him at the point, do we meet? Is my leverage good? Is my hands good? Will he shed me late? Will there be a holding call behind it? There's so many different things, Will, that go inside the mindset of an offensive lineman. And I would also say a defensive lineman on how I'm going to win my battle. And here's the thing. That's just one play.
Right. I mean, you're the only position that if you succeed, 95% of the time, you're still considered middle of the road, maybe at best?
Yes.
Like, imagine taking a test in school and you make a 95 and your teacher tells you that you got a C. That's essentially the position that you played in the NFL.
It is. And then on top of that, you'll have some troll on social media yelling, "You suck, and I hope you break a leg." You know what I'm saying? Just because I gave up one tackle for a loss.
Which year did that happen in Cleveland, Ramon?
Listen, Will.
or was it Cincinnati? I got a 50-50 shot.
Cincinnati.
There you go. I knew I had a 50-50 shot. Well, and two, the other challenge of it is today in the RPO game and the different points of emphasis you have, like all of those things are true. And then also like you can't attack as downhill in a pass play as the defensive lineman can to you, because you've got to hold your water and stay within a yard of the line of scrimmage, or else you're going to get flagged for an eligible man downfield. And it's like, where were you going? Why were you trying? And then it's like, well, he's trying to get upfield on me. I'm trying to push back. I'm trying to gain some ground here.
To answer your question, well, there was never a question. What I prefer is the question I was thinking of. What I prefer to block against is more of a 3-4 D line, because here's the thing: they will get upfield, and they're usually more of a stopgap type of guy where they hold the point well. I much rather block them because I always was a leverage guy, and I think most offensive linemen think of it that way too. If you are facing a penetrating defensive line, you just don't know where they are. I would say there's one guy that comes to mind when I think of getting upfield type of D lineman, and that's Warren Sapp. Just the way he would just be reckless and mindless about his job. Fletcher Cox is that way. Jeffrey is that way now. Simmons, that is too. But I think this can be very advantageous for a guy like him. Now, here's a question, or I guess a scenario for White Cotton too, the new defensive line coach that was announced. How much of this personnel does he have to change to get the type of guys that he want? And primarily, I guess there's one guy in particular, what type of shape would T'Vondre Sweat be in to generate this type of motor and action that this defensive line is going to want for? Because I think there's a lot there for a dude like him.
100%. And I think beyond that, just looking even more simply at it, like, how do you have to transform the bodies or the mentalities of the guys that are already there? I think is where you start, like taking stock. And we're going to talk about that in hour two with the biggest things that Robert Saleh's got to fix in year one. Like his evaluation of the guys currently on the roster is priority number one. Who can I work with? Who do I feel like before I've even met them? Because that's the other challenge of this. Like, you don't even know the human being you're working with yet until you can kind of get there and work with them a little bit and get on the practice field. It'll be a while before you're able to do that. But who can I work with and who can I fit and mold to my style? And considering the quickness and the speed that T'Vondre Sweat has, on paper, if he's conditioned and he's ready to play more aggressively up the field, this could be the perfect system for T'Vondre Sweat.
Yeah, we're talking about a Bash Brothers type of situation, man, between he and Big Jeff. To your point, like, pick your poison. And here's the thing. T'Vondre has shown us his athleticism when it boils down to, him chasing down quarterbacks or running backs outside of the pocket. I think the want is there. To be quite honest with you, I don't know if T'Vondre understood the process or the seriousness of this job in front of him too. And I think most young guys do fall into that conversation wheel of, I'm just a part of a team. No, you will be out of this league fast. We've seen numerous second-round draft picks, dog, that don't make it to year 4. And year 4 is basically the vested year. Like, they get their 3 years out of you and they move on somewhere else, at least when it comes down to the same team. I'm always big on being with the same team type of situation because it just proves your success at that point, too, if you're able to sign an extension with that squad.
Well, switching gears here in hour one, as the transfer portal closes, Ramon, I wanted to do a quick rundown of the high points and the low points for Tennessee and Vanderbilt. And first, just start talking about the SEC transfer portal with the team that did the most in it. And I know Texas made good additions. Ole Miss restocked the cupboard, even with some guys leaving and having a lot to replace. But no one did more than LSU, adding 40 players despite losing 33 in the transfer portal. According to 247 Sports, 3 5-star transfers and 11 4-star transfers, Ramon. That is 14 blue-chip prospects, meaning players that 247 Sports believes has draftable traits in one transfer class. 2 teams in the country can claim half of that number, Ole Miss and Texas. And LSU is the only team in transfer portal history to sign 3 5-star prospects, Sam Leavitt, Prince Will Umanmielen, and the Colorado tackle Jordan Seaton, who jumped in over the weekend. CBS Sports and 247 Ramon has a report out yesterday that LSU's 2026 roster could double the amount that their roster was making last year, which was $20 million. This is reportedly a $40 million roster in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Are they going to accept, or should we accept, anything but college football playoff for Lane Kiffin and LSU in year one this year?
Not even close. Not like that is that. Will, can I be honest with you? My opinion,
I would love for you to be
looking at
honest
the
with
rundown. If he's not in the national championship, it's a problem.
Yeah,
period.
I agree.
If we think have the X's and O's, right? If he can call it the way we think Lane Kiffin can, his defenses surprisingly have done what you've asked them to do also. Getting Prince Will and Mumi Allen also plays a part in it as well. Like, he's poached and was very selective in almost every player that he signed. He's got backup quarterbacks, Will. And again, he can call it. If you're telling me they got almost half of the industry's 4 and 5 stars, dog, the final two are nothing. That's just the way I look at it. The issue that Lane has, in my personal opinion, that's a lot of ego that he supplies himself. That's a lot of newness. He got a quarterback that's coming off a foot injury that we also liked as well. But the question I have for him is, what is Lane Kiffin's discipline? That to me is the biggest question that I have for him, Will, because in the end, I think that's what's going to matter.
So just to clean it up, too, they have more than double Ole Miss and Texas's number. They don't have the half of the blue chip prospects. That would be the biggest class of all time. I mean, essentially, you could say whatever about their class right now, and I'd probably believe it, as good as it is. Yeah, I'm interested to see how all of those personalities and players fit together, because the team that just won the national championship was not close to the biggest spender last offseason. What is the plan behind where you're throwing your money? There obviously is a plan. I mean, you're not just going out and acquiring the best players you possibly can without thinking about the fit and thinking about how they fit in your system. But what about how they fit in the locker room? Like, this is the biggest collection of highly paid college athletes that we've seen yet in the NIL era. I mean, it worked for Texas Tech to a point. Texas Tech maybe didn't have the quarterback part of it to live up to some of the acquisitions they made on defense and on the line and at wide receiver. But, I mean, relative to their expectations, I'd say Texas Tech met expectations this past season. Well, Ramon, I think this is the world we live in now, when a team like Texas Tech can go to the playoff and go to the final 8 teams and be in the position they're in. Like, now programs like LSU are like, oh, okay, we can do that. We've got the money. Like, get him on the phone. And Lane Kiffin, are you kidding me? Like, of course he's going to be able to close a lot of these. It is essentially, to me, Ramon, like the SEC's Texas Tech case study, in the way that Lane Kiffin and LSU can bring all of these very talented people together and still probably be like white knuckling a game against some bottom feeder team in the SEC this year, because that's who Lane Kiffin is. That's what he does. I mean, this guy almost lost to Washington State at home this past season, and then they were right there in the Final Four in the college football playoff. Like, it's just kind of who he is. So we're going to see. He's proven that he can build a winner. He's not yet proven that he can win in the college football playoff, because he's not the one that was doing that when it all when the dust was starting to settle at Ole Miss with LSU.
The question, to your point about making all of this work in a very cohesive way, though, Will, is this side of it. So you say managing the locker room and whatnot. And the personalities. Do these guys that he signed, these young athletes, because he's got the best quarterback, best edge, one of the best edge in Prince Will, and also the best tackle in Jordan Seaton in the portal, right? Mm-hmm. Do they understand what they're up against too? Because I feel like the same way that Texas, you know what I'm saying? Guys try to show out against them. Teams try to show out against Georgia any chance that they get. Like each and every week, those athletes on that LSU team are going to have to bring their A game, to your point about them playing a close game at Ole Miss against Washington State. Like talent is one thing. It always matters. But the understanding of what you are, the expectation of your level of play and the way the rest of the world, like the college world would view them. Well, I say this and it goes without saying, but they won't have an off week. Guys will be trying to get their NFL tape against this roster that Lane Kiffin and his staff have created. And that's why I bring up the question of where is Lane's discipline as far as being a coach and keeping guys not, eating the rat poison that Nick Saban says. Does he have that gene in him to make his team bulletproof? Because talent-wise, they should win it all.
Commenter on YouTube says, what happened to the $20 million cap? That does not include NIL money that you can give out.
Nobody ever said that.
And, I mean, there's who's going to enforce the $20 million cap? I mean, Charles Bediako played basketball on Saturday for Alabama because they got an Alabama donor judge to say, yeah, he can play. Like, okay, they'll just go get an LSU donor judge to say, nope, yeah, they can pay that. And
they can pay.
Yeah, that's just the way it goes.
Here's the thing, isn't it like the NIL clearinghouse? Like they are kicking back certain deals that are coming back in, but the amount of money that they are allowing through, it's still way more than they kick out.
Good luck enforcing
I don't think
it.
we can stop this. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Toothpaste ain't going back in the tube anytime soon. And Mike in Cleveland says, if Lane pulls this off, does he come back to the NFL? I think Lane Kiffin likes coaching college football. I'd be surprised to see him go again. I mean, maybe he could go back to Alabama after Kalen DeBoer gets run out of town, but that I'd say is more likely than the NFL at this point for Lane. 615-737-1045. You too could make the Pro Bowl if you try hard enough. And by try hard enough, I mean, I don't know, you just have like a shoulder that's intact and a knee that doesn't need to be repaired, or a dad that coaches college football. We'll talk about what we mean next. Hey, it's Will Bowling for my friends at Lee Company. Are you tired of those surprise breakdowns and emergency repairs on your home systems? I got good news for you. Lee Company Plus gives you a smarter way to care for your home. For as little as $14 a month, Lee Company Plus members receive 4 annual inspections for their heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical systems. Plus, members receive up to 20% off on every visit and have access to exclusive discounts and promotions. You can learn more online at leecompany.com/plus. I'm telling you, Platinum Home Protection starts with a Lee Company Plus membership. This week should be the best possible example and lesson that we never know what Mother Nature is going to throw at us here in Middle Tennessee. So make sure you are prepared. Make sure you're ahead of the game with seasonal repairs, maintenance, and more. Check them out online, leecompany.com/plus. That's Lee Company, all you need. Drake May, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Shedeur Sanders. What do these four guys have in common? You would think, well, they're just NFL players, Will. That's about it. No, Pro Bowlers. Pro Bowlers in the Big 2026. Ramona Will, wrapping up hour one this morning. I had to triple check to make sure that this report was real. I thought I'd been duped. I thought I had been led astray. I thought that I had been run amok. And Ramon Foster, no, it is very much real that the 144th pick in the NFL draft, Shedeur Sanders, is going to the Pro Bowl as an injury replacement. I just want to give a shout out to Mel Kiper this morning. Like, is he taking victory laps? Is he calling Todd McShay to tell him I told you so? Is he telling the producers at ESPN that he built this house and now we've all got to live in it, Ramon? Like, I want to make sure Mel Kiper is getting his due diligence this morning. For he called it. Shedeur Sanders is a Pro Bowler in year one.
He did, man. I couldn't imagine. I don't even have Shedeur's stat line.
Oh, I've got it. You want it?
You please enlighten me.
Here you go. He completed 56.6% of his passes for 1,400 yards, 7 touchdown passes, and 10 interceptions. The Browns went 3-4. Hey, 3-4. Come on, that's only one game under 500 in the games that he started. Ramon, that's the kind of stat line that in college football gets you encouraged to enter the transfer portal.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Like, hey, man. Hey, come in. How about you bring your playbook? Come have a seat.
I genuinely am lost on the Pro Bowl game and what it used to mean. Like when I came in, I think when they moved it from Hawaii, which took the investment away from the NFL, and how serious they had to take it and who they were offering to bring over. I think that was the first knock. And we'll have it in Orlando. Well, that means you can also fly in alternates whenever you want to at that point in time, too. It took the mystique away from it, man, and just the overall just value of what it was. So Shedeur ain't the only one in this conversation. Ty Huntley, Snoop Huntley, made it in 2022, Will. Mm-hmm. Do you know what he was in 6 games, started 4. He won 2 games, lost 2 games, Will. His completion percentage was 67%, fair.
Hey, that's 11% higher than Shedeur Sanders this year.
Will, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and he made the Pro Bowl.
Cooking.
Man, listen, Sean Merriman, who's made the Pro Bowl, I'm going to speak on it, but I'm going to go to Sean Merriman, and this is how I feel about it, man. Sean Merriman, former NFL player, 3 times NFL All-Pro. Yeah, he's had his issues in the past with PEDs and stuff like this, but his point was made, and he's also finding out the hard way that the Shedeur Sanders social media club is wrecking his mentions right now, okay? He's trying to figure out how he made it about Shedeur. Like, sir, you tweeted it around him. So, of course. But he put this out there. I'm not sure if you saw it. From Sean Merriman, at Sean Merriman on Twitter. I have a Pro Bowl helmet that I walk by almost every day. It's signed by some of the best players in the history of the NFL, legends, Hall of Famers, and real GOATs. The Pro Bowl used to be a badge of honor and respected. Things have changed. It's exactly how I feel. Just that used to be a friggin' accomplishment that you loved. And I think part of the issue is the money has gone up as far as guys' minimums coming into the league. The guys that are making it are the same guys over and over again. Like you got $100 million dudes everywhere, which again, the salaries weren't that, and I know the economy has changed, but there's a lot of guys that are making a crap ton of money, and I don't think they feel the need to want to go have to play that game because they just not interested. It's not worth the money, to be quite honest with you, right? Even the NBA All-Star game money purse had to be moved up for the winners and losers to have a more competitive game. The fact that, I'll say this, the fact that that game has turned into a flag football game, and I know flag football is taking its steps as far as being more competitive and more known around the nation, around the world, I think, for the most part. That's not what this game was about.
No, definitely not. And
this election, respectfully, is not what this game used to be about.
It's a total joke. I mean, in all seriousness, it is truly a total joke. And if you ever needed an example of why all-star games have never mattered less in this country. Well, in reality, they're only really in this country. Like, other countries don't really do all-star games like America does. And my thing is this: just don't watch it. Like, don't give them what they want. I have so little influence, and I couldn't even make a dent in the overall television audience. And the problem is that ratings will probably be up for the Pro Bowl games this year because Shedeur Sanders is there. People are going to hate watch it, and ESPN's going to say, okay, great. Hate watches still count as watches, just like when you guys hate listen to us sometimes in our takes. Yeah, you're still paying our bills, so that's kind of the way it works, right? The injury replacement part of this, though, is relevant. Obviously, Justin Herbert and Josh Allen dealt with injuries at the end of their seasons, and there were other quarterbacks, including Cam Ward, who had season-ending injuries who were not eligible to play in this. So Patrick Mahomes, Daniel Jones, Bo Nix also suffered season-ending injuries, and Trevor Lawrence was reportedly one of the top alternates, but opted not to play in the event. So despite that, Ramon, I've given you better options who are healthy. Here you go. Let's start with, Shedeur Sanders' teammate Dylan Gabriel, who did not light it up, but compared to Shedeur Sanders, he sure did light it up this year. Dylan Gabriel completed 60% of his passes. Whoop, we got a 6 next to our completion. He's in. Shoe in. 937 passing yards. Oh, just fantastic. 5.1 yards per attempt, 7 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions. You mean you can have more touchdowns than interceptions? Gasp. 80.8 quarterback rating. That's 12 points higher than Shedeur Sanders. What about Aaron Rodgers? You could do the Lifetime Achievement Award right off into the Sunset Pro Bowl. 94.8. 94.8. Ramon, that could almost be a radio station. His passer rating, 68.1 for Shedeur Sanders, couldn't be a radio station. If your passer rating can't be a radio station, you should not be a Pro Bowler. This should be a minimum requirement. 24 touchdowns and 7 INTs for Rodgers, 66% completion. But what about the ultimate comeback story? What about C.J. Stroud? Look, I know he had a terrible final game. Let's give the young man some confidence. He threw for 3,000 yards, 65% completion, 19 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Let's tell the comeback story of C.J. Stroud. Playing well after a bad playoff game. Let's get him some confidence. NFL, that's 3 better options. Tua Tagovailoa. What about him? 2,600 yards, 88.5 quarterback rating. Ramon, it could be an audition for 31 other NFL teams to play next year. It could be an audition for the Olympics because he'd be a pretty good flag football quarterback. 4 better options who are healthy, able-bodied men who could play in the Pro Bowl ahead of Shedeur Sanders this year. I rest my case.
This is the amount of content that's going to be derived from this, though, is exactly what I think social media want, and part of it the NFL. Because I think the reason he got in is because of the fan vote as well. I think he was like 3rd or top 10 in like fan voting for quarterbacks as well.
People are sickos.
I'll add this context as well. I've always heard that Shedeur is a great young person.
It's not his fault.
And like when you meet him, and a lot of people are feasting off of this as well, too. If you look at the amount of Colorado podcasts, the ones that were Jackson State podcasts when they were there, and now the Cleveland Browns, like people are just setting up shop to earn off of his perceived public image. You know what I'm saying? So I'll say this. It's unfair to him that he's been used like a pawn as much.
Agreed. Agreed.
But this still, to me, is a knock to what the Pro Bowl has just turned into.
Totally agree. Coming up, an update to the Charles Bediako temporary restraining order story. An update came late last night as the NCAA tries to battle back against his eligibility. Plus, a very fun matchup for Vanderbilt tonight at home against a surging Kentucky team. We'll preview coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Good people, man, they are one of the best companies around when it comes to plumbing, HVAC, or just the electrical issues around your house. Here's what I do know. Anytime somebody comes by your house, you don't know what it's going to cost you if it get fixed right, or if somebody's trying to sell you something you do not need. I know this personally. When you call Hiller, the experts are going to solve your problems quickly, and the price you're told is the price that you'll actually pay. There are no hidden fees or surprises on your bill when you get it at all. No, absolutely not. They believe in this, though. 100% satisfaction guaranteed. A happy you'll be, the service is free. If you're not satisfied with the work that they do, they'll do all they can to fix it or just simply give you your money back. You don't be in business for over 35 years if you don't do that type of business, man. They trust the work that they do. They're family owned and operated as well. And I'll just tell you personally, they're just good at it. Their techs are always professional, experienced, and very trustworthy too. If you're having issues around your home right now during this holiday season, well, during this cold season, man, reach out to the company I trust. You can go to happyhiller.com.
7:03, good morning, live from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Justin Hawkins. Per Ian Rappaport yesterday, the Titans are hiring Aaron Whitecotton as the new run game coordinator and defensive line coach. Whitecotton, the Cowboys' defensive line coach last season, had multiple defensive coordinator interviews this cycle, and his unit was a top 5 unit in quarterback hits with 73. Robert Saleh's staff is starting to take shape with a familiar face. Whitecotton was an assistant defensive line coach under Saleh with the 49ers back in 2020 and then followed Saleh to the Jets in 2021 as New York's defensive line coach, where the Jets were a top 12 unit in pressure percentage and top 7 in sacks every year under Whitecotton. In other NFL news, Commanders are hiring Vikings defensive passing game coordinator and defensive backs coach Durante Jones as their new defensive coordinator, and a couple Pro Bowl changes as Patriots quarterback Drake May and Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold no longer will participate in the games due to making the Super Bowl. So taking their place will be Browns rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders replacing May, and Lions quarterback Jared Goff will replace Darnold. Tonight, college hoops big matchup in Nashville as number 18 Vanderbilt hosts Kentucky at Memorial Gymnasium with an 8 p.m. tip-off on ESPN. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 2 on this frigid Tuesday gets underway. What's the biggest thing that Robert Saleh's got to fix in year 1 as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans? We're going to talk about that coming up in 15 minutes. If you can't stick around for that, or if you missed the opening hour, subscribe to Ramona Will wherever you download podcasts to get every hour and every discussion every single morning. What are you laughing about over there in Simple Sumner?
Jayhawk is in my ear, knowing that I can hear you and we're back. I heard him do the update. I heard you do the intro right there. I knew my mic was off mute at home, and Jayhawk in my ear says, "You're up, by the way." Justin,
I'm just doing my due diligence. What if I never turned your mic on? You'd be sitting over there just talking with.
Will would be
this show would be a lot less entertaining, is what it would be.
Exactly.
It'd be a lot worse.
No, I need you out here, man. Do you hear me? You my guy, man. Don't ever minimize yourself like that. What did Jayhawk, Justin? You told me something else this morning too that was very questionable. I said we need to bring this up on air. I forget what it is at this point. Yeah, he said something. Hawk, what did you say?
I was trying to get him on Zoom earlier, and he was talking, or I was trying to talk to him. I was like, "Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me?" He would never answer.
And I'm texting him like, "No, I can't hear you, Hawk."
I told him I could hear. It turns out he was on mute on my end, and so he would have never joined the show should I not ever realize that he was on mute. Tough. So that is a demerit for myself.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Hawk. He's asking me, "Can you hear me?" And he's muted. Will
can you hear me
I'm
now?
like, "Hawk, I can't hear you." Yeah, I can hear you now, Jayhawk.
I was yelling at him.
Don't yell at me, Hawk.
We all made it. It all worked out. You're not fragile. Get out of here. The NCAA last night filed a motion for Judge James Roberts to recuse himself from the Charles Bediako lawsuit, alleging there are Alabama ties. What gave you that impression? According to Matt Stahl of AL.com, the NCAA is looking for Judge James Roberts to recuse himself from the eligibility lawsuit and the temporary restraining order that was granted to the former Alabama forward G Leaguer, who is now current Alabama forward. Roberts presides at a Tuscaloosa circuit court and is a donor for Alabama. Yeah, I don't see what the problem is. Guy gives a lot of money to Alabama. What's wrong with the guy just trying to help out his athletic department, Ramon? I mean, Alabama doesn't have that much money in NIL. They need all the help they can get, clearly. This is literally actually the definition of collusion. This is exactly collusion. Yes.
It's one of those things like, bro, we see you. You know we can see you,
That's
man.
right.
Like, come from
We got the internet, too.
We got the internet as well. We looked you up. You are a donor, sir. Man, so on a serious note, before we joke them even more, man, about this this allowing Charles Bediako to play this eligibility lawsuit, it's to me gotten to a point to where It's not ruining the game at all. I love the game. I love the basketball side of golly. It was some great basketball on last night.
Yes, there was.
But my point of it is this. I know we've had boosters involve themselves in buying athletes and giving mom a job or a car and getting on staff, or coaches being put on staff. You know what I'm saying? Like the Ole Miss Michael Orr story, allegedly. His coach may have gotten a job behind it, or one of his coach. This has happened for a long time, and it's been mostly surrounding sports, but like, to do it this blatant and public as some of these universities are choosing to, and I think Tennessee's probably had its dealings in it as well, Will. I don't know if this egregious, but it's ruining the involvement of the athlete and the school's idea of these are amateur athletes. And I know we're far beyond the amateur side of it, though. But like, you got state officials and judges that are allowing stuff that should not be allowed. Like, you wouldn't have a former NBA player that's been in their system, even if he hadn't played many NBA games, he's in the system.
He's been developed by an NBA organization.
What if a kid is reclassing in college? Like, oh, coach, college isn't for me right now. Let me go back to high school. No, sir, that doesn't fly. That's the part of this I don't like. If this was Tennessee, I wouldn't like it the same. It's just too much involvement with state rules and regulations and laws just so you can win a game. I don't think that it's excusing coaches, Will, of what I will always ask coaches to do. It's excusing them of actually being able to thank you.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
100%. It's lazy is what it is.
It's lazy.
Yeah.
Coach, man.
Right. So Tuesday was supposed to be the hearing, so today, for Charles Bediako and his case, but the winter storm has pushed it, and he was granted another temporary restraining order. So he was granted a 10-day temporary restraining order last week that allowed him to play immediately. It has now been extended another 10 days. I thought Jay Billis talked about this really well on College Game Day on Saturday, about how, like, the NCAA is complicit in this. This is not just specifically an Alabama problem. This is not just a Nate Oates problem. They are taking advantage of the inch they've been given by the NCAA, and they're taking a mile. And the NCAA, and I think this is a really good point, the NCAA loves this. They do. I think they like the chaos, and I think they like the fact that we could understand very plainly and clearly how messed up all these rules are, because I think this is the equivalent of giving your keys to your nice car to a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And when they crash it, there's a little bit of satisfaction to say, see, you're not ready to drive yet. Well, what? Yeah. You thought you were ready to step behind the wheel? You're not going to drive again. All right. Now we're going to get somebody to come tow away our car. That's Congress. Right? Like, they are legitimately using this, Ramon, as a plea for help. They are on a lifeboat, and their flare they are putting in the air for the Coast Guard to come get them is the Charles Bediako case, because there are so many eyeballs on this to say, wow, this is kind of messed up. Yeah, you think?
Yeah, it is, man. And I think when you put that headline out there with the Charles Bediako case, right, you mentioned a professional league being intertwined with a collegiate league, though, Will, you know what I'm saying? And that's where I think now more people are starting to see, oh, this is kind of jacked up. Oh, this shouldn't be allowed. Like, I know there are older players already in college basketball. I know Houston's had some old players last year. Heck, the Dalton Connect, what was he, 23 at the time? Like, that used to be the age that guys went to the next level at 22, 23, maybe a 24-year-old at a time. The weirdest thing, well, I guess the oldest guy we've had as of late was Chris Winkie. You know what I'm saying? Like, at that point, like, there used to be the idea that these guys would get in and get out, and you had the opportunity to coach them up and watch them mature into young men and stuff like that. We've lost that. And here's the thing, though, too. I side with what the NCAA is doing. Like, yeah, let it crash and burn. Because at some point, the regulation has to happen when it boils down to everybody being under the same umbrella. Like, can you imagine the uproar would happen if a guy from the NFL came back down to college? You know, like I think some people are mad at Arian Carter for pulling his papers out of the draft. Like, no, he never even went to the league.
Well,
like,
you
he
could have
thought about something.
hundreds of minor league baseball players go back to college baseball.
Oh my gosh!
Like maybe even thousands, Ramon, of players who have never made it to the big leagues, who are still within their 5-year window of eligibility.
That's true.
Who can still cut? Like, what about the player in Double-A baseball who signed with the Baltimore Orioles out of high school, has never made it past Double-A, is 23 years old, never started his clock on college eligibility, and can now say, you know what, I do think I'll go to school because that's better than Double-A baseball, the way college baseball is right now. By the way,
what about
forget Chris Winkie, I'll do you one better. What about Chad Baker Mazzara, who's currently playing for USC basketball at 26 years of age?
Well, that's
actually today's his birthday.
Man.
Today's his happy birthday, Chad Baker Mazzara. Today he's 26.
No way.
I'm dead serious.
26.
Dead serious. Yeah.
Like, this ain't even like a Frank the Tank, like old school type of situation where it's starting a fraternity. Like, this ain't the old school movie thing. This is real life, man. But well, here's the other part though too. What if there's an influx of talent that comes in from like South America, where these guys do sign at 15 years old, be in an MLB system, and then they come to college at like 21 as well? Can you imagine that world?
And that would still be better than going to college, forgoing the end of your eligibility, and then coming back. Still not even the same thing as the Bediako case. But yeah, you're right. Like, you are setting that precedent now. And again, like, it's not just the fact that, like, I know Nate Oates means what he says, and he's right. Like, he's like, I'm not taking away a spot from a high schooler this year. We had a spot. Yes, but the precedent that you are setting is going to take spots away from high schoolers in the future because of your actions against the sport. So you can take this holier than thou stance of like, well, but I got into this for the education. No, you didn't. Shut up. What are you talking about, man? You just want to win. You want to win at all costs. The way you act, the things that you do, the way you speak. Yeah. Nate Oates cares about winning more than maybe any human in college sports because his actions prove it. Like, it's not just this case. Like, you are setting the precedent now for a lot more high school athletes to lose their spots.
Preach, Will. Preach, dog.
Anyway, we were going to talk about Vandy, Kentucky. We'll do that at the end of the hour because it's worth spending time on. But this whole thing it makes me probably more frustrated than it should.
No, I heard it come through right there. We were ready to go to break, and I heard my guy go right there longer. I love that, Will. Keep it hot, man.
615-737-1045. What are the biggest things Robert Saleh needs to fix in year one with the Titans? We got one for you on each side of the ball next. Wherever you're joining us this morning, we're glad you decided to make us a part of your Tuesday on Ramon and Will. Streaming live at 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. The F&M Bank chat is wide open. ESPN's Ron Slay hanging out in the F&M Bank chat. He was crushing it last night on Big Monday on ESPN.
Yes, he was.
Duke slapped around Louisville a little bit and had fun doing it. And then Arizona BYU played a thriller last night with Braden Burry's just going off for Arizona in a road win that I'm sure talk more about with him as the week continues. Ramon, Robert Saleh, go ahead. You're sorry, you're on a little bit of a delay.
I trolled my older brother Renardo last night. Big time Louisville fan. Big time Louisville fan. I trolled him, man, because he was so upset with how they were playing. He was like, they can't shoot the ball, they can't dribble, they can't pass. And you know what I did, Will? I grabbed the knife and I twisted a little bit. I said, you know what, man? That sucks that you got to watch a national television game right now with your team being embarrassed. And he got so mad. It took me back to my childhood, man. Ron was in the group chat with us. Nardo was so ticked off, Will. I enjoyed every bit of it because couldn't be my team getting embarrassed out here on a primetime game on Big Monday with your brother also at the desk at ESPN. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be my team.
Just give me his number. I'll just text me like, hey, I really wish I could watch my team with power and heat. That's a separate conversation. Bad. No, it's fine. I'm totally joking. We're making it. All right. So Robert Saleh is the new head coach of the Titans. This just in case you've been living under a snowbank and are just hearing that. Ramon, as he looks at this roster and at the situation that he is inheriting here in Tennessee, as he's building out a staff and doing all these things, what I want from you, and I've got one as well on each side, is the number one thing he's got to fix on each side of the football. And I want to start on offense.
Okay. I had three. I guess I'll go to one. I'll go to one, Will. But I think it's running back first. I think getting a ground game established for Cam more so because that was part of the plan, I thought, with Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. Having consistency of not just having to rely upon his shoulders. I think we watched that in the playoffs, watching the teams that ended up winning, like with New England, they were able to run the football. You look at the lack of running that Denver had with Jarrett Stidham, that he had no outlet when it came down to what the offense was. It didn't matter what the plays were because they were relying upon him to throw the football around. I think it's overkill to stress that he needs a valid running back either through the draft or through free agency. Those are the things I think needs to happen early with this team. You look at the way that San Francisco 49ers offenses ran between Christian McCaffrey and Juszczyk, like those guys coming out of the backfield and many other things with Juwan Jennings that they do in the structure of that offense of running the football. Deebo Samuel, right before he got traded away. I think that's crucial. It led to Brock Purdy becoming one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL at this point with having a run game to support his arm talent. I think it's crucial for Cam.
Yeah, I think on offense, the evaluation of who's already there is critical. And Robert Saleh's ability to quickly come in with Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker and clearly define roles for guys who are already here is step one and the number one thing that he's got to fix. On offense specifically, what that means for your pass catchers and for your blockers is critical. Is Elikiah Manners still a wide receiver 2 or a Juwan Jennings type? I mean, quite honestly, in a lot of the things that he does well, can he be the equivalent of what Juwan Jennings has been to San Francisco? A guy who starts out as a physical combat catcher on third downs and on passing downs and can earn more of a role in the red zone and earn more of a wide receiver 2 kind of role. Mm-hmm. Is Chimere Dike a starting slot receiver? Is he a gadget guy with special packages on offense? Is he purely a special teamer? Can you draft a number one receiver? Is Chikakonkwo still here? What do you want for Gunnar Helm? On your offensive line, do you believe that J.C. Latham showed enough promise down the end of last season? Is Kevin Zeitler someone that wants to come play again? Is Lloyd Cushenberry done enough to look like himself again after he kind of got acclimated after his Achilles injury? So it's a little bit of a cop-out to say that, like, it's just the whole offense, Ramon. And like, who do you like? Who do you want to keep around? But I think that has to be where Robert Saleh starts in seeing where his evaluations of the current players on the roster match up or differ from the front office's evaluation, seeing those guys work for the last year.
You mentioned the other parts of this offense that I was my other two parts that I had pointed out too, because I mentioned the running back because I think you can go get one of those in this free agency cycle or whatever will. But definitely the right guard position, center matter. I put those in one, and then the other one you mentioned too is wide receiver. Will how much of a threat in this offseason can you get at that position? This is a passing league. Cam likes to sling the ball around. And as much as I love what the tight ends talent is on this squad, Will, you need that threat outside to where you keep a defense honest. And it also just challenges Cam's talent too. Like, bro, go to him. Go to your guys. Make them dudes. I have a huge sense of pride playing for a guy like Ben Roethlisberger that made guys Pro Bowlers. Like, their talent was a part of it too. But we're talking about Antonio Brown, the former 6th-round draft pick. You know, Emmanuel Sanders goes on to Denver, become a guy. There were dudes that you didn't know much about. Deontay Johnson, like, you didn't know much about that he made like names. And that's what you want to see out of your quarterback. Can you make these guys names? And that's the other part that I think has to be figured out, because that cupboard right there we spoke a lot about last offseason needs to be filled up with premier talent, which is where that 4th overall pick comes into play. Do you go wide receiver or do you go defense?
And I think for me too, the symptom of all of those things, and the one big thing that I've got that they've got to fix, Ramon, is their third down offense and their ability to sustain more drives next season. The Titans for most of the season were last in the NFL in third down percentage, and they played well enough down the stretch to just go up one spot. They were 31st in the NFL in third down offense a season ago, and when they were predictable, they weren't good. The Titans, in the 3 games that they won, how about this for a stat from this past season? In the 3 games the Titans won, the Titans averaged 142 rushing yards. In the 14 losses, they averaged 83 rushing yards in those games. That is a significant gap. And you saw the third down numbers go up when they were able to run the ball because, A, you're in third and more manageable, and B, you still have the ability to run on 3rd and 4, on 3rd and 5, where you can still stay with the run game, and those defensive ends have to be a bit more honest. And are they coming after the quarterback or the linebackers? You're moving their eyes. And again, like it's not groundbreaking analysis to say that every offense in the world is better when you can run the ball. Every single one. And the things that you can set up based off of that. So how do you make this offense less reliant on that? Do you double down and say, no, let's just be better at running the ball and trust that a lot of our other players who were learning on the job last year will be better as a result of it? Or do you say, let's make everything else on our offense be better enough at pass catcher, at offensive line, where we can hold up more in pass pro on 3rd and 9 and 3rd and long. Hey, Cam Ward's more developed at this point as a thrower, and we feel better about his ability to sit back there and pick defenses apart when he needs to, and maybe things balance out a little bit. And then you've established the pass. Hey, now we can actually run a little bit because we got 2 high safeties and they're giving us light boxes and they got to respect the arm. Like, however you spin it, Ramon, running the ball has to be a priority for this team, or you've got to just be able to be better at everything else. That way it becomes easier for you to run the football. They've got to be better at doing everything else to quarterback proof this offense for their second-year QB next year in Cam.
You know where we saw this past year in 2025?
Where's that?
Cleveland Browns. That game.
I was going to say Chicago, too.
Well,
the game specifically. Okay.
The game specifically. Yeah. I'm talking about like asking that of your team. Like, we saw that. We saw the pride come to the forefront when they were talking about the Myles Garrett sack and everything else. They put on the display wheel that would have had them. I'm gonna say this either way. Screw it. It would have had them, teetering 8 wins if they played with that type of talent. 6 wins, with that type of effort. That's the other part to me, Will. I feel like it's beat down. I think it's fair to say this. As beat down and downtrodden this offense has been like the last 2.5 years, The last part is what I just mentioned happened in Cleveland. Changing their mindset. That just because you go 3 and out doesn't mean that like the game is over, that you're a bad team. It just means that was a bad series. I think the mental makeup of this team, not calling them weak-minded, but I think the mental makeup of pushing through and persevering through drives and through entire games has to be changed as well. And I'll say this to add to it. Your mental, I guess, toughness comes through good things happening. There hadn't been a whole lot of good that's happened offensively. And I think that happens in training camp, changing that mindset of the one-on-one battles and everything else that goes into it. But, Will, one bad drive doesn't mean the game is over. And I feel like that team sulked a little bit last year when you look at just the overall just performance that they gave other than the Cleveland game.
Duck on YouTube says, must the Titans be a pounded out, run the football team? Why can't they just get better receivers and run more effectively? It's not a slam dunk on how they arrive to a better run game, right? Like, I don't know for sure. If they could just bring in Alec Pierce and draft Carnell Tate, maybe you get more too high safety looks so you can throw it more downfield accurately. And maybe your run game gets better because of it. You might also just need to get better linemen and go sign Breece Hall or draft Jeremiah Love. Like, to your question, Duck, like, I don't know the answer to that. And that's the whole point, is that, like, that's the thing Robert Saleh's got to fix. This team does not need to go back to AFC Central 3 yards in a cloud of dust football. That's not at all what I'm advocating for. I'm advocating for them to be more balanced, because when they were balanced, they were good last year. When they forced Cam to consistently throw it based off of the weaknesses that he has and the processing speed at the current point in his career that he has as a quarterback, he's not good when they're predictable. This offense was not good when they were in predictable passing situations. So the conclusion is not, you got to go back to being Eddie George, Steve McNair football. No, the conclusion is run it better to put him in more manageable and less predictable situations.
I'll say this to add to it, though, too, Duck, man, is Drake May had like 80 yards passing this past weekend. The point of it all is this. You want to be able to rely upon it when you need it. And to get to that point, I will say, it's probably talent at the line position and being on the same page, being taught. I've got some intel that just said that was given to me that I don't think all the offensive linemen were on the same page as Coach Bill Callahan wanted for the offense. Let's start there first. Let's be in a position where guys are communicating with what the offense want. And I will add to the fact, I think Tony Pollard's a great talented running back. However, their running back room didn't teach it to go right, or the offensive line wasn't on the same page, or maybe they were just getting their butt whipped when it come down to them winning their one-on-one battles and combination blocks. But that all has to work hand in hand. I'll be the first one to tell you, I think we had a very talented offensive line in Pittsburgh, but Le'Veon Bell also made us right. Why weren't either the running backs making them right, or the offensive linemen just absolutely snow plowing guys as it comes down to them moving people off the line of scrimmage? All of that kind of works hand in hand is what you're getting to. But what you want at the end of the day is whenever you have to call on Trayvon Henderson to run the football, he runs it. And you get the yards that you want to, so it's not on Cam, and you got different ways of winning. I don't think we've seen that in the last 2.5, 3 years there at all.
Yeah, man, that's fair. It's not about, like, you have to have a quote-unquote run-the-ball identity. Like, they could throw it 40 times a game if they want to, but, like, you better be good at it. And you better be able to pick defenses apart who are dropping 8 and rushing 3 against you. Or when they do bring 8, like, if you can't run the ball and your whole identity is just one thing, like, I just want their identity to be more balanced. I don't care how they achieve it. Because right now, with where Cam Ward is, they have to have a run game to help him.
That part. Like,
he's not ready to shoulder all of this by himself. They have to be able to run the ball in order for him to play good quarterback as he is currently formed as an NFL quarterback right now.
And the last part about shouldering, you bring this up, and I've seen it dropped in our chat from time to time, but there is a question to be asked, and we won't get it now. What is Cam's status on that shoulder, right? Like, if it is a grade 3 AC sprain or tear, like, to your point, he might have to slow walk this offseason. I know he's not been in a sling and none of those types of things, but there was something reported about it being significant, and I mean, he seems as if he's normal. Maybe he's got crypto. I mean, maybe he's Superman out here with this injury.
Well, from what we know, it doesn't. At least when he spoke at locker room cleanout day, it did not require surgery. So if that's the case, then that's what we know. Right. I mean, that day at least, maybe for those 10 minutes. Like, I don't know. Like, that to me is the story beyond what was reported the day the injury happened or the night the injury happened. The story is he has a shoulder injury that right now doesn't need surgery. We'll see. We'll see if that changes. We'll see if there's pain. We'll see if he's fine. Like, I just don't know. I think that's a big question mark right now for the offseason. Let's do the defense when we come back.
One more before we up against this break.
Go for it.
No, I was just going to say this will and always will be, no matter how pretty the game gets, our listeners, it'll always be a big man's game. The running game on offense will always be important, and stopping the run will always be important too. No matter how much your quarterback throws the ball around the yard, it'll always come back to that.
100%. And the littler skill guys that get the credit for Kansas City's Super Bowls, you can go back and watch how they looked against Tampa before they built an offensive line for Patrick Mahomes, and you'll get all the evidence you need that still it is a big man's game. No question about it. No question. 615-737-1045, our number. I think the defensive thing to fix is easy. On the thing Robert Saleh's got to come in and fix in year one. We'll talk about it next.
In today's AI world, you can't even trust your own eyes anymore. We'll have to stop and ask, is this real? Well, you know what is real? Your health, and what the experts at Synergix and Low T Center are saying about it, man. If you're suffering from the symptoms of low testosterone, such as constant tiredness, lack of focus, or that feeling of just feeling off, well, at Synergix and Low T Center, you can meet with the real provider, not a chat bot on the website at all. You can get real medication and never compounded testosterone or hormones. You get real pricing and not a surprise when the bill comes from a website. You get real results because Synergix and Low T Center are the experts offering superior medication service and support, and they've been doing this for over a decade, and that's real. Guys and ladies, get real about your health this year with Synergix and Low T Center. For a limited time, the men's CRT test is free. The women's hormone test is usually $299. Well, it's now just $99. And the weight loss consultation is free. Listen to me. You can walk in or book an appointment at getmyhealthfix.com. That's getmyhealthfix.com. And make sure you tell them that Ramon sent you.
Wrapping up hour 2 this morning on Ramon and Will, 104.5 The Zone. Austin Price coming up in a half hour at 8:20. Trevor Sikma, Pro Football Focus, going to stop by in hour 4 at 9:20 as well. So, Ramon, the Titans have things that need to be fixed, of course, and we fixed the offense. I'm not surprised, knowing both of us, that it took us longer than we expected to try to fix the offense. And talking about what Robert Saleh has to fix. What about the defense? What's the number one thing he's going to walk in and need to fix?
I think edge. The consistency of it to me, the personnel of it as well. Will, how much do you feel like you got to elevate the talent again that you have in your room? Is Jalen Hurts, is he good enough? Is Arden Key coming back? There's not much I can tell you about Oli. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the things that, or Femi, Oladeja. Those are the questions that I have. How much are you going to pour into that room, that unit, to be the type of rushers that you want off the edge? You got to think this guy's coming from working with Bosa, Nick Bosa, like guys of that ilk, and he's drafted first rounders or high draft picks. Tennessee Titans don't have that right now inside of that room, other than Femi with the highest draft grade of all of them currently.
I'll be honest, I'm not as concerned about edge, right? Like, maybe it's just because Jeffrey Simmons was so good and helped out maybe some lesser-known commodities around him at edge rushers. But the Titans last year were 9th in pressure rate, and we're middle of the road of the NFL with 42 sacks. I don't know. I feel like I was kind of won over by their plan. Not to say they don't need edge rushers. They obviously do.
Right.
But to me, Ramon, the secondary is the much bigger priority because I at least can put names and faces in the positions at edge rusher more than I can at corner and safety. Well, corner.
Gotcha.
Safety, they're a little bit better.
Yeah. No doubt. I get that too. I just look at the front end. Well, you mentioned secondary. I mentioned the front end of it though too. Just rushing coverage, working together, having the depth to actually get it done, and just be terrorists when it comes down to how you attack the quarterback too. Like, I think those things matter, and not just that. Setting the edge. The Titans, you know what I'm saying, uncharacteristically were giving up rush yards this year. Couldn't stop a nosebleed when you needed them to. Like I said, the sacks don't matter to me. It's the talent of the guys you have, and asking them on what you're asking them to do week in and week out, and just looking at where this team is trying to go, specifically with how it supports the offense. I do think those types of guys are needed. Now, I'll be honest with you. I saw the rundown, and you had the secondary. I think we all know the secondary has got to be a huge part of it, so much so that people are talking about, do you go get Caleb Downs at the 4th overall pick? Like, at least the conversation's being had. I just look at a position as far as free agency goes, and maybe a 3rd, 4th round draft pick, getting a type that he wants on that defensive line. What we know about him and what we discussed as far as Robert Saleh goes, his front 7, they always answer the call. So that's where I feel like he'll attack first when it comes down to this defense.
I don't know, though, because that front 7 in San Francisco didn't this past year.
Well, no, they didn't, but they were still disruptors, right? If you look at their overall stat lines, being able to stop the run and, you know, how they were as far as efficiency, they were better than what his secondary is now. Of course, I went just in the total direction of saying I think the personnel at the edge position should be better. It's just where I'm like, I know he'll call it, but my thing is this. You mentioned Jeff. Jeff is fine. Jeff is also just one person. Like, he's also, you got to consider his age now at this point, although he doesn't show any signs of slowing down. The more, the better. The more demons you can get on the defensive line, I think it's better for the offense, to be quite honest with you. I said that because I think it's the quicker fix than secondary.
See, I'd still go the other way because I at least know that Femi Oladejo is back for another season. I at least have Jalen Hurts. Well, I know that he's a football player. I don't have football players in the secondary. I genuinely don't have bodies. Like, that's the issue you have at corner. I mean, L'Jarius Sneed is I'd be shocked. Let's just put it that way. I'd be shocked if he's contributing for the Tennessee Titans next year. Darrell Baker is a restricted free agent. I mean, Marcus Harris is your returning starting corner right now, and he didn't really start until the very end of the season. Does this defense still want to play 3 safeties a good bit? If this is more the Jets defense that Robert Saleh ran, I think you could make that argument. And safety is going to be really important. All right, so you have Kevin Winston Jr., Monty Hooker. You probably need a third one to be able to rotate in there. Is that Xavier Woods? He's still under contract. You could throw him back in there for another season. Is Mike Brown someone you trust enough for that? Do you feel like you got to go draft one late? Is there someone you can sign? Because you can always find a safety. I mean, respectfully in that position, respect it, but like you can always find one. Like,
yeah.
But that still doesn't mean that you just pencil somebody in and it's easy. Like, you still got to find the right fit. And Ramon, they need a number one and a number two corner. They need someone to take away Michael Pittman Jr. and Brian Thomas Jr. and Nico Collins. They also need someone to take on Travis Hunter and Jaden Higgins and maybe Alec Pierce if he's not on this team, which I really hope he is. Like, there are good wide receiver twos in this division as well that you have nobody to cover right now. Yeah, right. Like, it is a major question. You could put the 85 Bears defensive front with a secondary that can't cover quickly, and it's not going to matter. You're still not going to get after the quarterback because quarterback's already gotten rid of the ball because somebody's open immediately.
Yeah. So the question is then, and we're getting close to that draft season, how do you parse this? Are you of the same mindset you go get this offseason's L'Jarius Sneed again? You've tried that, although I know
I'm not trading for one.
No, absolutely. I'm just saying, like, I'm not even sure if I want to hit the market like that. Like, where do you piece it at? Or do you seriously consider going in the draft and getting a number one and growing?
And again, that's why
I know
it's
a rich price to pay for a fourth overall cornerback.
Right. I mean, that's why I'm so out on Jeremiah Love with the number 4 overall pick, because I can find a running back. Running backs that are good and can compete right away are going to become available. If a number 1 corner is available, something's wrong. There's a red flag. Yeah, something weird has happened. If a number 1 receiver becomes available, something's wrong. If a legitimate starting caliber $25 million tackle has become available, like, well, why don't you want him? Like, that running backs, Breece Hall is available this offseason. Like, I can go get him and put him on my team and give him whatever jersey they're going to wear, and the two-tone blue or the practice shirt, whatever he needs. I got it for him, and he's going to immediately contribute.
Right. I'm there with you on that one for sure. I just view this situation, Will, as time has to be given to Saleh. Time has to be given to Borgonzi. And just in general, Will, when you look at where you find the importance, all of them are to me. You can also tell me us as well, I'm okay with getting the number 1 wide receiver. And I think that answer would be right, too.
Yeah,
I just
agree.
look on the defensive side of it. I legitimately say to myself, I think you see quicker production out of the edge, although I know this as well. You got nothing in the secondary. And I say that with all due respect to them dudes being pro. You got a valid freaking point by saying, who do you trust to go lock somebody down? And the answer is none.
Commenter on YouTube says, like how A.J. Brown became available? Yeah, something went wrong. He shouldn't have been available. That's exactly my point. A.J. Browns are not constantly being made available. And receiver is the only position you can make that argument for, because you do have examples of when you pay a quarterback, then, all right, yeah, like Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, that's fine. But again, like, those aren't coming available every single offseason. And if they are, you're trading for them. Is this team in position to trade for them? No. So, again, coming available means free agency for this team. This team is not giving up draft capital. It is not in the position to give up draft capital to go acquire guys like A.J. Brown. So, yes, Jael, to your question on YouTube, correct. That is not what we're talking about. We are talking about a free agent that I don't have to give up draft picks for, because we know from the way this team wants to, quote-unquote, draft and develop, this team's not giving up draft picks for immediate contributors.
Yeah. George Pickens will be available this offseason.
It's true. Alec Pierce maybe as well. Alec Pierce is the slam dunk. Home run pick for me in terms of
I'm just throwing names out there to your point. Which one do you want? You know what I'm saying? Is George a number 1 wide receiver as well? There's a lot of questions that have to be answered behind that.
A lot of questions. No doubt about it. 615-737-1045 is our number. We'll hit headlines for you when we come back. Titans filling out Robert Saleh's defensive staff, and Vanderbilt with a big one tonight in Memorial Gym. Coming up next.
8:02, good morning. Live from the Circus Sports at the Mid-Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Justin Hawkins. Per Ian Rappaport yesterday, the Titans are hiring Aaron Whitecotton as the new run game coordinator and defensive line coach. Whitecotton, the Cowboys' defensive line coach last season, had multiple defensive coordinator interviews this cycle, and his unit was top 5 in quarterback hits last season with 73. Robert Saleh's defensive staff starting to take shape with now a familiar face. Whitecotton was an assistant defensive line coach under Saleh with the 49ers back in 2020 and then followed Saleh to the Jets in 2021 as New York's defensive line coach, where the Jets were top 12 in pressure percentage and top 7 in sacks every year. Also, the Titans yesterday announced that Robert Saleh's introductory press conference due to weather has been moved to Thursday at 2 p.m. instead of tomorrow. We will still carry the presser right here on the Zone if possible. Tonight in college hoops, big matchup in Nashville as number 18 Vanderbilt hosts Kentucky at Memorial Gymnasium with an 8 p.m. tip-off on ESPN. The Wildcats are riding a 5-game win streak. Vanderbilt is the 6.5-point favorite tonight. And the Nashville Predators are back on the ice in Boston as they take on the Bruins. Puck drop is at 6 p.m. Central tonight. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Away we go to hour number 3 on Ramon and Will. He is Ramon Foster. I'm Will Bowling. Justin Hawkins makes the show happen. The Titans, according to Ian Rappaport, are hiring Aaron Whitecotton as the new run game coordinator and D-line coach. Just heard Justin give you some of his credentials. Had multiple defensive coordinator interviews this cycle. His unit was top 5 in QB hits last season. Bryce Huff and Will McDonald each had double-digit sacks. Ramon under his leadership when he was the defensive line coach of the New York Jets. A reunion for a third time between Aaron Whitecotton and Robert Saleh, who worked together in San Fran, New York, and now Tennessee.
Most definitely adding him to the all names team also. Just want to throw that out there as we spoke about him previously. Enjoy that. Okay. But besides that, though, he's going with a familiar face. I know that matters a lot to coaches to be able to bring their staff in when the ball, but ownership and management is allowing them to do, because that level of comfortability and just how you know to teach the defense that you're being asked, and expectation matters a lot.
There goes Ramon. We lost him again, so we'll get him back again. Bear with us. Internet is a challenge right now, all around the area with the amount of power lines that are out. It feels like it as more people wake up, this gets tougher as well. Ramon, we need to tell everybody to go back to sleep. That way, you can have the bandwidth you need to do a radio show.
Is that what it is? What? You got me now?
Barely. Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about Vanderbilt in Kentucky tonight in Memorial Gym. Very interesting matchup in the backcourt between a Vanderbilt team that bounced back in a big way. 32-point win over Mississippi State, their largest against an SEC foe since the 2022 SEC tournament. And their largest SEC road win in 13 years since they won at Mississippi State by 41 back in 2013. Kentucky on a 5-game winning streak coming to town, beating Ole Miss 72-63 on Saturday at Rupp Arena. I love the backcourt matchup here. And Otega Owe and Denzel Aberdeen against the backcourt of Tyler Tanner and Duke Miles, who were terrific defensively against Mississippi State. Duke Miles had 7 steals in that game in Starkville, just one of 4 players to rack up 7 or more steals against a high major foe this season. I mean, just when he is on, but also when he is not in foul trouble, the impact that he can make for Vanderbilt is certainly significant. You're talking about a Kentucky team, though, that with Malachi Moreno inside is certainly started to figure things out. I don't know if they are still close to what we thought they'd be at the beginning of the season, but I don't know if they're ever going to be that considering they were expected to be right at the top of the SEC or in the national championship hunt. 20 second-half points for Ortega-Oweh in the second half of Kentucky's win over Ole Miss moves them to 5-2 in the SEC. And Denzel Aberdeen has 16 points per game over his last 5. Colin Chandler has hit 11 shots from 3 in this winning streak, 11.6 points per game. And Ortega-Oweh in this stretch has 19 a game. Starting to really round into form the way he did really at the end of last season when he was healthy as well. Here's the thing that's significant on Kentucky, that they are starting to do better, or at least were in this game. Against Ole Miss, Kentucky limited the Rebels to 32% from 3. That is the best, or not from 3, just 32%. I misread it. That is the best field goal percentage against an SEC opponent for Kentucky under Mark Pope. Ramon, they are going to have to bring it to that level defensively to have a chance tonight in Memorial Gym against Vanderbilt.
They will, man. It just also showed that they are who we thought they were when they were on the winning streak, man, too. The bigs against Kentucky. One, neutralizing them. Part two, you bring up the players that Vanderbilt have and the style of ball that they also have. Here's the thing, Kentucky can play with them. They want to get up and down the court just as much as they do, too. And that's where it's going to be fascinating to watch how they adjust that 3-game losing streak that they're on. I know they corrected it against, was it Mississippi State, Vanderbilt was. So seeing what this challenge is going to bring to them at home again when they've already lost inside Memorial Gym is unique to me. I think Kentucky's on a heater right now. They're figuring out what they are as a talent-wise. They're shooting the ball well. And again, where
lost him. Man, somebody just does not want Ramon to be on the radio this morning. All right, we'll try to get him back on here in a minute. But, yeah, challenges we're dealing with today. Bear with us. We apologize and appreciate your patience on I imagine a lot of things you got to be patient for. Just add us to the list of things you got to be patient on around Middle Tennessee and power and internet and all of these things. Let's hope the third time is the charm to start the third hour this morning. You got us? You back with us again?
It's just straight up dropping right now. God,
you sound good now.
Whoever thought technology would do this to it? How about I'll speak slow and not fast so I don't overload like the Wi-Fi? Is that what happened right there?
I don't know if the amount you are speaking makes a difference, but who's to say? Here's some breaking news. How about this in college sports? Duke and quarterback Darian Mensah have reached a settlement. He can now enroll at a new institution. How long, Ramon, do you think it'll take before he officially commits to Miami? 5 minutes?
No later than Thursday. I tried to give it a little bit more grace. No, Thursday, you say for 5 hours from now?
I think by the end of our show this morning, he may be committed to Miami. I don't know. I mean, like, it's not even that you really have to fake that you weren't tampered with because, like, okay, you tampered. You got me. What are you going to do about it, NCAA? We'll just sue you in response.
I thought before this all broke as well, the buyout was a part of his commitment to Miami as well.
And they just reached a settlement. That's the whole point. So they just reached a settlement to his contract to let him out of his deal. So,
I mean, $10 million for allegedly is what I guess the number was supposed to be his buyout plus what they were going to pay him, plus his sister being a part of the package, plus the house and everything else that comes along with it. It's good being Darian Mensah today on a Tuesday, man. That's all I got for you. What a time. I get Duke's point, though, as well. It kind of gives them a little bit of a black eye. Like they are Tennessee 2.0, in my opinion, right now, with how this is kind of unfolded. Your starting quarterback this time being poached, not asking to leave. Here we go. We're not the only ones anymore, Will.
That's right. Coming up, VolQuest's Austin Price will join us. Tennessee adding another defensive back yesterday, starting to get acclimated to a new strength program and the highest paid strength coach in all of college football, plus some questions on basketball as they get back into action tomorrow. And a little bit of baseball, perhaps, because Austin sat down with head coach Josh Elander for Beyond the Orange this week. Austin Price, one of our VolQuest insiders, one of our many VolQuest insiders, joins us next. In the Nashville real estate market, you need a local agent with years of experience if you want or are forced to relocate. Hey, it's Will Bowling. I'm here to tell you about my friend Bernie Gallerani, who guarantees to sell your home in 30 days or less, or he'll buy it. Maybe work has forced you to move to a different area of town. Maybe you've just been looking at that dream house and you're ready to pull the trigger, but you're worried about getting your own home sold. Well, Bernie Gallerani takes the stress out of it because there's no risk to you. He'll let you out of the contract at any time. He is the real estate agent with the 30-day guarantee to sell your home, and if not, he'll buy it from you. Bernie is so confident in his ability to help you, he's handed out his personal cell phone number, 615-428-2644. You can head online, learn more about him and his team as well at BernieGallerani.com. You know, we've never recommended a real estate agent until now on this show, and Bernie Gallerani is the guy, also the only real estate agent in Nashville recommended by Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank. 615-428-2644, the number, online at BernieGallerani.com. Every Tuesday at 8:20, we get the latest in Knoxville with our good friend Austin Price of AllQuest and On 3. And it's that time of year where we've got 3 sports to talk about. Football, basketball, a little bit of baseball this morning as well. Ramon Foster in Hendersonville, myself, Will Bowling in studio. Austin Price of AllQuest with us from Knoxville. Good morning, Austin. How are you? Austin, do you have us?
I do, guys. I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Oh, good.
Good to talk some balls with you this morning, and good to be in the three sport part of the season. We'll get to a little bit of basketball and baseball this morning. Starting though in the transfer portal, Austin, with Jadace Richard. I hope I'm saying that right, from Miami, joining the defense. What will he bring to Tennessee's defense?
Jadis.
Thank you.
The phonetic spelling on Miami's website was Jadaeus, but then when I asked him, he said, no, it's Jadis.
Perfect.
So, he brings depth. I mean, obviously, coming off an injury, did not play a ton this past season, but was a starter for a bunch of the season last year when Cam Ward was leading Miami. And he's a big corner, started his career at Vanderbilt there in Nashville, and then went to Miami, and now comes to Tennessee. He is a big corner. I mean, he's a legit 6'1", and, again, provides depth, provides experience. He'll compete to try to win a job, and if that minimum will be, a guy that plays a lot off of rotation. So, you like what you're getting there. Tennessee needed to add another corner, and getting Jadis Richard was, I thought, a big deal for Tennessee. Maybe a bigger deal for Tennessee than it would have somebody else, just because I felt like Tennessee needed another experienced corner.
Austin, as you look at the work that this staff has done as the portal, we think, again, kind of starts to wind down, how comfortable is this staff with the guys they were able to add in the portal? And in your opinion, where is the biggest question mark still left for you on this roster?
I think everybody's going to point towards defensive line, interior defensive line, because they've used one more tackle. You probably could have used one more experienced tackle. I think they have enough tackles on their roster, they'll be fine. But I think you're gonna rely on a young kid potentially to help, or a young kid or two. On the offensive side of the ball, I think their offensive line's great and set. I just wish they would have added a little bit more just for depth, because I think sometimes you need that in practice, and you need that in, just your overall room. I feel like they've been kind of thin there, and I don't feel like they, because of the, attrition, and then, the couple of additions and the high school additions, they're probably about where they were a year ago. I would like to have seen them add, another lineman or two, just to kind of build up the depth in that room. But that's nitpicking. I don't think that's necessary. But I think, again, in a perfect world, you'd like to have that. And I loved what they did in the secondary. Big fan of what they did in the secondary. Obviously, linebacker, they're stacked. I joked last week, I told William Andrew good luck, trying to figure out how to get all those guys on the field. And so probably just the defensive tackle spot, if you wanted to get really nitpicky about it.
We're joined by Austin Price of AllQuest and On 3. Austin, with Derek Owens being a week into his job as the strength and conditioning coach, man, what does it look like for the guys that's been underneath him so far, man? What's the response been that you've seen from him as well as they attack this weight room?
Carnage. He's hitting it and hitting it hard. The staff's hitting it hard. I think there's a little bit more accountability than there was in that room a year ago. And just talking to people, it's a different vibe, a different feel in the strength program right now, and the players are feeling it. And I think they're going to love it long term, but I think they're right now feeling it. And so it's an adjustment for them. But that first day, I think it was kind of like, whoa, I'm not in Kansas anymore. It's a totally different deal with him leading things. And I think you're trying to change the mindset, make this team a little more mentally tough. That way when it's 3rd and 6 in the bowl game, you don't jump off sides and make it 3rd and 1 and give Illinois an easy first down. Little things like that, trying to change the mentality of this group.
No doubt. The next question, man, is going to be a highly asked question this entire offseason. It's about the quarterback, specifically Faison Brandon. We've heard about him for a long time, man, and, he committed early. He's a 5-star. Didn't play a ton his senior year, but they still went on, I think, and won a state championship, Austin. What is he bringing to that quarterback room that may create a little bit of a competition depending upon the development of all guys in the room right now?
Yeah, he's bringing a championship mindset. He's won multiple state titles, as you just mentioned. He's a bigger kid. He's bigger than George is. I mean, right now, as someone asked me the other day, kind of like, how do you handicap this thing? I said, George should be further along mentally, and Faison's further along physically, which is weird because Faison's the one just getting to college. But Faison's, legit 210, and, George is playing catch-up on that a little bit. But, George has been in the system for a year. I think it's going to be a really good competition. I think the experience for the year in the offense definitely helps George, probably gives him a slight leg up. But, Faison's a smart kid, has a good arm, big frame. And both of them, I feel like, really play the game with a cerebral type approach. I don't think either one of them gets super high. No matter what goes on in the game, they're very methodical and cerebral in their way of attacking the quarterback position.
Austin Price of AllQuest, our guest for his weekly visit here on Ramon and Will. As the dust starts to settle, Austin, on this roster, what is the most interesting non-quarterback position battle to follow over the offseason?
Man, I tell you, I read that question when you sent it over to me this morning, and I was like, that is a great question, and I honestly don't know. I would think maybe whoever is going to replace Chris Brazzell, is that, Tristan Keys? Is it Ra Jackson? Is it Travis Smith? To me, that's kind of a really open battle. The cornerbacks with Ty Redmond and Kayan Lee and Jadis Richard, that's an interesting battle to me. I think the safeties are pretty self-explanatory. I know Idris Farouk's going to, be battling hard there, and they do play some 3 safety looks. So in that instance, I think you'll see a lot of those guys, and I think they'll rotate quite a bit. But I'll probably say that spot left open by Chris Brazzell or any of the cornerback spots, to me, maybe make the most sense.
Just following up, too, and more on Jadace Richard, Austin, and some of those corners, do you feel like they've brought in similar skill sets in a lot of those secondary guys? And you mentioned you like what they've done there. Is there a more physical guy? Is there a speedier guy? Does it feel like they can kind of match up to different kinds of receivers and opponents? Or is this more, hey, we're taking who's interested and also just trying to get different types of guys to fill out that room?
Well, they definitely have different type bodies, Will. Jadis Richard is tall, more physical. Kayan Lee, a little more compact, can run. Obviously, Ty Redmond is a kind of a mixture of both. He can run, but is probably a little tall on the taller side for a corner. At safety, I love what they did with TJ. TJ Mecca is probably my most favorite addition to this team, just because the experience he brought, being an all-league player in the Big Ten at Michigan. I think getting him was a big deal. And then, the one Lane is someone the staff super high on, and they were with him every day, and there were other safeties at Penn State that went in the portal, and this is the one they decided to go in on because they felt like he had the most upside. So, I do think that they've added proper, when it comes to the portal. Even a guy like DJ Burks, who is coming in as a special teams guy and as someone who could back up at safety. He played several years for Appalachian State. He is a really solid addition to the back end of the defense. So it's hard not to think that this defense of secondary is overhauled and potentially got way more to it than it ever did a year ago.
Austin, just to add to that too, man, I was listening to some of the interview that Jim Knowles did, and he mentioned also a big part of why he think this defense will be ahead of itself too is because he got a real opportunity to bring in his guys, Austin. Is that something that it seemed like he's, very much excited about how quickly this defense can kind of set itself up with success going into this 26th season?
We have a coach at every level of the defense that's been in the defense, so they can teach it. Then you got players at every level of the defense that have played in it, and they can help teach it. So it probably does help the meshing of the two worlds together, because you're able to do that at every level of the defense, both on your staff and on your roster. And so I think that's why he's excited, because I think he knows sometimes his defense, because it is good, it is complex, it just takes a minute to learn. Adding these pieces at every level, you don't have to. Jim Knowles is not having to walk down there to the secondary going, okay, here's what I like to do, coach, here's what I like to do, players. At least one player and one coach know exactly what Jim Knowles wants. And I think that's why he's excited about it.
No doubt. On the hardwood, Austin, man, simply what changed with Nate Ament as of late? He's looking like the guy now, man.
Well, he just got more confident. I mean, he started to see the ball go in. He started to make some plays. He started to see that he can play physical, and can look for his own shot, can demand the ball, doesn't have to defer. You look back at the end of the Alabama game, he was calling for the ball at certain spots on the floor and was just, looking to take over, looking to make plays. A few games ago, or 5 or 6 games ago, that wasn't the case. He's played now 3 games in a row that I think are really, really good. I mean, the second half of A&M, all of Kentucky, all of this game, and it just started to click. And I think you're going to continue to see that. Now, is he capable of still having a down night? Sure he is. Like, he's a freshman. Or, it wouldn't matter. I mean, seniors are capable of having down nights. But, the point is, I think the exception will be the down nights. The rule going forward are going to be what we've seen the last couple of games.
Austin Price of Allquest with us. And you kind of spoke it into existence, Austin, in your visit with us last week, that there was probably going to be a time where things started to click and started to show signs of progress. And obviously they got to do it again against Georgia tomorrow night, and back at home against a pretty good Auburn team over the weekend as well. But for you to really see that progress, Austin, and really believe that this team has rounded a corner, what do you need to see over these next 2 games to buy into that progress really starting and really happening?
Wins. I mean, they find ways to win the basketball game. Find ways to win on the road at Georgia, a place that, Georgia is much more comfortable in playing on the road, a place that, they score a lot of points. Win down there, then come home. At that point, you're playing Stephen Pearl and Auburn, and, the fans have no love lost for Stephen Pearl.
That's true.
I mean, the fans were very much torn on Bruce because of what Bruce did here. The comments that Stephen has made since he left here about Tennessee, like on podcasts and so on and so forth, the fans have no love lost for that. So they'll be ripe, to go after Auburn on Saturday. And you're returning home for a couple of games here before you go to Kentucky on February 7th. So you have a chance to roll off a 4-game winning streak to basically get to the first part of February. And that's a huge deal for Tennessee. And that, to me, puts their head firmly above water, whereas they've been treading water the first part of the SEC season up until Saturday night, where they started to, figure it out on the road, get a huge win. So for me, it's just win tomorrow night and then come home and do what you're supposed to do at home, and that's take care of home court. At that point, you get on a 4-game winning streak and everything kind of calms down.
Austin, I still can't believe the original Bruce Pearl quote when Stephen got the job, where he said what? I probably should have played Stephen more at Tennessee, but I never wanted to show favoritism. And Tennessee fans look around like, really? You should have played him more? Every time he came on, I tensed up a little bit.
Yeah, it's, he's a proud dad,
Yeah,
he's a proud dad. We're all proud of our kids. There we are. Goodness gracious, man. I didn't expect that on my bingo card. By the way, I got to go look at his content. I didn't know he was trashing UT like this. Yes, he's done a few podcasts where, again, it just,
takes a life of its own.
Yeah. He was the homie while at UT. All right, moving on, man. Speaking of another homie that's taking on a job, people just disappoint you the longer they're around.
That's right.
With that being said, though, man, Josh Elander was Beyond the Orange this week. Austin, man, how much do you think he likes this team, this job, being at the University of Tennessee and knowing he's got the backing of his players first, man?
I think he loves this team. I think he was going to love this team if he was the third base coach and third base coach only. Now he's the head coach, and obviously things have adapted and changed in his mind. But he's not changed who he is. I had Levi Clark out on Beyond the Orange the other night when we taped the show, and he said he's not changed one bit. Same dude, just a different. He's now leading the huddle versus being in the background. But I mean, he's not changed who he is. I think that speaks to who Josh Elander is as a person. I also think that that's easy to kind of fall behind if you've been in this program for more than 5 minutes. Of like, hey, this guy got more money, got a different position of power on the team, and he didn't change one thing about who he is as a core person. And I think that resonates with kids. Kids go to battle for that. They already loved him to begin with. They love him even more now. And I think he's ready to reciprocate. And I think he's just ready to get out there and roll the ball out and just kind of see what he's got. Probably will be some growing pains early because anytime you're adding so much new to a program, you saw that with Kim Caldwell. I mean, what'd she say? It's going to take a minute. And all of a sudden they're playing really, really good basketball. And so it might take a minute with the baseball team, but they've got a ton of talent, and I know he's excited about it.
Austin Price of AllQuest joins us Tuesdays at 8:20 on the show at Austin Priceless, where you get the latest out of Knoxville on Twitter. Same time next week. Austin, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Austin.
Hey, guys.
Yes, sir. Austin Price with us this morning with the latest on 3 Sports in Knoxville. Stephen Pearl, not the biggest fan of Tennessee hoops and Tennessee athletics, Ramon.
Is it because social media attacked his dad or something? Because I thought while at University of Tennessee, Bruce was beloved. Bruce was protected. Bruce was missed big time, man. And that's what's interesting to me. Like, I know Stephen while at the University of Tennessee. I never, thought that he turned into this type of guy ever in the history of him being in the sport. I didn't know anybody talk bad about him.
Austin Price is called back in with another comment. What's up, Austin?
What's
up?
I was just gonna say, I can't believe Ramon's under 40. I mean, you could have fooled me. I thought he was at least 40.
Turned 40,
Tuesday,
2 weeks ago? Yeah. Thank you, Austin.
You are petty. Oh, no, you can't just say see ya.
That's great. That is great.
He called back just to get a shot in.
I was like, oh, no. Uh-oh. what did we mess up?
I'm texting him right now. And that was good.
That's well played.
That was good.
Very well played. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm just looking up. Stephen Pearl took a shot after Tennessee's loss to Mississippi State in the 2024 SEC tournament. He said, I was walking to the game today and some Tennessee fans asked me if I was going to a barbecue, and that's what we watched. Mississippi State barbecued Tennessee, he said. That was one of them. I mean, he's had, I think, multiple. Yeah.
Come on, little Steve. Don't do that, man. the human, because I like Steve. Steve was cool at UT, man. Like, we knew he was this, Bruce's son. I thought he earned it, and he was cool then. Lord, he goes to Alabama and just switches up.
After Tennessee hired Conzo Martin, he tweeted, all I can do is laugh and say, good luck, sir. And then not only did he deleted his whole account after tweeting that, apparently.
Good.
That was years and years and years ago. That was 15 years ago now. How about that? Huh.
Well, it wasn't. Did we self-impose it? Like, did we self-report, or did Bruce just get caught with the? I forget how that worked.
He got caught, and then we fired him. Yeah, that's about it. I don't know what else he wants to do back in that.
Easily.
Now they give out awards called Coach of the Year for being the best at tampering.
And they got judges that allow players to
Yeah,
play
right.
in games when they've been to the NBA.
Oh, yeah. You could have just gotten a UT judge to sue the NCAA and say, no, he gets to barbecue wherever he wants to. What are you talking about?
As long as he ain't burning the chicken wings, Will, we good to go.
If he wants sweet peas, if he wants dead end or corkies, we're going to have buddies. We're going to have it for him. We're all right. And you're going to like it.
You're going to get most of it. Exactly. God.
Coming up, we'll dive into some of the transfer portal headlines. And Ramon, did you know I am 6'4" and you're 6'9"?
No. When did I gain all these extra inches?
Since Diego Pavia became 6 feet. We'll talk about it next.
You got some big milestones coming up in the new year, getting engaged, celebrating a big anniversary. Well, Genesis Diamonds is ready for you. After a record-breaking year in 2025, Genesis is fully stocked for the new year with a massive selection of exquisite diamonds and designer rings, all the latest fashion jewelry, and of course, the largest selection of pre-owned Rolex watches. Genesis is the go-to place for all things jewelry here. All right. Genesis has the highest possible standards, full transparency, price integrity, uncompromising quality, and customer service that doesn't come from a policy manual. It comes from the heart. At Genesis, the non-commissioned experts are there to help you, to guide you, to show you all your options, to show you how to maximize your budget with no pressure, no games, and no nonsense. At Genesis, they are not just another jewelry store. They are the industry leader with unbeatable value, exclusive brands, and warranties and guarantees other jewelers will never offer. So for that memorable moment in 2026, just know, get to Genesis and they will hook you up. Learn more at genesis.com, genesisdiamonds.com. Again, Genesis Diamonds.
So now we've still got a football game to talk about in a week and a half. A big game, the Super Bowl. But dread it, run from it. Measurements to start the NFL draft process are still going to arrive. All the same. Ramona Will, 104.5 The Zone, Ramon Foster, and Will Bowling. We've got Senior Bowl measurements, Ramon, and we've got Diego Pavia's actual height. Listen, there ain't no way in the world that guy was ever 6 feet. He has not touched 6 feet unless he's wearing high heels on one of those like charity things where you do you walk in heels. You know those things? We used to do those as student athletes at Tennessee. Maybe they do those at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where they took his measurement. 5'9" and 7/8", Ramon. Just 1/8 away from 5'10". Could have double digits there. At the Senior Bowl, he was listed on Vanderbilt's website at 6 feet. Does this matter?
Yeah, it absolutely does matter. I'll say this before the Vandy folks hop in the chat or tweet at us. Yes, he did beat us. He's 1-1 against us. So eat it. All right. With that being said, his professional career, the measurements matter. The height, the size, unless you're coming out guns a-blazing like Drew Brees or above 6 foot, it can be problematic for you because, again, his style of ball that he's playing is very allowable at the college level. Taking a beating and running the football and being an option guy don't last long in the NFL in these type of moments right here. We brought up Jackson Dart. We look at Cam Ward with the shoulder injury that he ended this season with. We're looking at, other guys that have had these type of issues from putting their bodies on the line. Most namely, I think, would be Cam Newton. And how I think he got robbed of some of his career with the injuries that he had because he didn't change his style and how he was being hit. I'm with you. He's a thick body guy. A lot of protection that he had on in those games too. It's 5'9", though. You can barely see up an offensive line at that point.
I know. What is his NFL future to you, Ramon?
I think he'll mess around and make a roster. Probably his rookie year. I think he probably just sits behind guys, man, if he is around. If he goes to a fan base that's starving for some type of attention or some type of moxie when it comes down to that position, he'll survive there. I'm not going to deny him an NFL career because Dylan Gabriel, 5'10". You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the things that he's up against in these moments. And how is Dylan Gabriel, who had a very good college career, viewed? As a short guy that's good in the right system, but even still in Cleveland, what was he doing? He wasn't throwing down the middle of the field. He was throwing side to side and not necessarily down the field. I don't know if it was height limitations, but I know there's, other than Willie Lampkin Jr., there's no 5'10" offensive lineman in the league. So that's going to be his issues. It will have to be very strategic. Well, I'm not even sure if a Kyle Shanahan style of offense is going to work for him. If you told me he's going to San Francisco to sit, do you send him to Houston with C.J. Stroud as a backup? It depends on how he's viewed and does the height hurt him. I'll say this. As much as they judge hands and arms and everything else in the league, this too will be judged just the same.
I don't even think his height is the biggest thing that's going to limit him either in the pros. I think what limits his ability to play quarterback in the NFL is the attention he brings on himself. I do. Yeah. I think the way that he carries himself, and again, anyone at Vanderbilt will tell you, and I believe it, he's a good teammate. He is not someone that is about himself. He is about the team inside the locker room, on the practice field. I've heard nothing but good things about the way Diego Pavia has motivated his teammates, has done the right things, has said the right things, like all that. So don't twist what I'm saying here. Diego Pavia was always, by all accounts, by all reports, a good teammate to his guys at Vandy. But here's the thing. The show that follows Diego Pavia is not something that organizations sign up for when they're looking for their backup quarterbacks. It's just not.
No.
It's just not, because Theo Vaughn being on the sideline and Johnny Manziel buying his jersey and him going on podcasts and the way that he talks in the media, the way his brothers carry themselves, the way that he has carried himself, the things that he has said both on hot mics or into mics that he knew were hot. The show around Diego Pavia is going to work against him more than his height is ever going to. Because at 5'10", essentially, let's call it 5'10", he could still be a fine backup quarterback. Like, I don't have any issue with him being a backup and being an athlete. He is a great downfield thrower of the football. He is an accurate passer. He is a solid enough athlete to extend plays in the pocket. I'm not sure he'd be able to dance around the way that he did against college linemen, but I'd be willing to say that he has some improvisational ability that would translate well to the NFL. But Ramon, he's a distraction. And NFL teams don't want distractions in their backup quarterbacks. I think his best chance to succeed in the NFL is playing slot receiver. I do.
Yeah. Playing slot receiver.
I do. I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious.
I realize what you said.
He's a good athlete. And that's not taking anything away from him. That's not an insult. I genuinely believe that is his best chance to make it, and consistently over time in the NFL.
If he's playing slot receiver, he ain't in the NFL at all. That's the way I look at that one. And that may end up being the case. I'm not even sure if he's a Taysom Hill type. And then that's the thing, too, with a guy like him. Like, even Taysom had a short window of success when it came down to it, albeit the Saints fell in love with him also. So to your point, Taysom got in that position solely because of his play. I want to see what kind of style of play that Diego Pavia plays at the NFL. Like, yes, he does have an arm, but a lot of what he does is outside of the pocket where he'll put himself in harm's way.
Right.
That's his issue to me. And with that stature, was he just over 200 pounds too? I actually thought he was closer to, 220.
Let's see. Full measurements for Pavia. I had this. Let me find it again.
I saw it. I thought it was like 205,
Actually, I never saw weight on him. I just saw height. So I missed that if that was put out there.
Sworn I sent that to you guys. Yeah.
So there you go. I found it. 198 pounds.
No way.
5'9" and 7'8". Well, 198 at 5'9", Ramon, is like being 210 at 6'1". I'm serious. I'm not even. I know it's I was trolling at the beginning.
From you know they're gonna judge it.
I know, and
yes.
I
Same
some
as
of that.
me.
A lot of that I brought on myself. But if he was actually 6'1" or 6'2", it'd be like being like 210.
I won't lie to you, unless they had like an unprecedented amount of like padding around him, and they may have because of his style of play. I was giving him, if his height was right, 6 foot, like 215, 220. And the only reason I say that because if you go look at his pass, I never really look at his lower body like that. I thought he was more thick like Russell Wilson, but 198 at 5'9", I did not see that being the case at all for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Miles is 5'9".
Yeah, that's Ramon's youngest son, for those who are
my
new
son.
To the show. Yeah, that's right. Interested to see what Vanderbilt what Vanderbilt looks like this upcoming season, and we'll talk a lot about that as the offseason goes. And Robbie Weinstein had a good piece at Vandy 247 about how really offensive line was a strength of theirs this past season and the size that they had, and that appears to kind of be the question. And who are you able to develop who's now been on campus for a couple years? They did bring in Bo Johnson from North Dakota State, Lyndon Cooper, the center from Pitt, who's pretty much totally plug and play, but they lose Jordan White, Chase Mitchell, Isaiah Glass, Bryce Henderson, and Sterling Porter, all out of eligibility, and you're going to reportedly start a true freshman quarterback. I'm fascinated to see how they reload. Really interested to see how they reload.
This is where reality kicks in right there with expectations. This is where I think, do it to Tennessee all the time. Do it again. Coach Barnes, do it again. Josh Heupel, do it again. You know what I'm saying? When Tony V was there at Elander, can you do it again? Now expectations are set. It's the repetition of it now that keeps you in this conversation.
615-737-1045 is the number. Coming up, a great piece at USA Today about Clemson taking a stand and also exposing the fact that they're not really a serious program anymore. Do you have to cheat to win as much as ever again in the NIL era? We'll talk about it next.
It's Ramon Foster for Jewel Roofing and Exteriors. Good people, we got a lot of wet weather, ice and snow on top of your roofs right now, man. You'll probably will end up dealing with some leaks because of the ice jams on top of your roof that allow water to come back because they have no exit and the water is melting out. Well, I'm here to tell you this. It's a roofing company I trust, and that is Jewel Roofing and Exteriors, as I just told you, man. They are a trusted family-owned Middle Tennessee company that's been serving from Clarksville to Murfreesboro for over 25 years. They should be the first call that you make because they stand out by doing good business, man, and building relationships and earning trust through referrals from guys like myself who have used them. Never through those high pressure tactics or door knocking or the storm chasing that you'll see come out in the next few weeks, man. They are roofing that you can trust. The owner, Robbie Van Norman, is right here in our community, man. He's in it. He lives it. And he wants to make sure that he do right by the people that live by him and in this community. I'm here to tell you this. For a company that you can trust when it comes to somebody getting on top of your roof, you got to go to jewelroofing.com. That's Jewel Roofing with 2 L's.com, or call them the old school way, 615-868-9999. And make sure you tell them that Ramon sent you.
9:02, good morning, live from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Down studio. I'm Justin Hawkins. Per Ian Rappaport yesterday, the Titans are hiring Aaron Whitecotton as the new run game coordinator and defensive line coach. Whitecotton last season was the Cowboys defensive line coach and had multiple defensive coordinator interviews this offseason cycle. He bolstered a top 5 group in quarterback hits last season, so now Robert Saleh's defensive staff is starting to take shape. In NFL news this morning, the Baltimore Ravens are expected to hire former Falcons run game coordinator and offensive line coach Dwayne Ledford for the same job and title, per ESPN's Adam Schefter. Ledford was with the Falcons since 2021 and helped lead a run game that finished in the top 10 in the rushing in the past 3 seasons. In college football news this morning, Duke and quarterback Darian Mensah have reached a settlement, his agency announced. Mensah can now enroll at a new institution, which is expected to be the Miami Hurricanes. Tonight in SEC Hoops, big matchup in Nashville as number 18 Vanderbilt hosts Kentucky at Memorial Gymnasium with an 8 p.m. tip-off on ESPN. The Wildcats riding a 5-game win streak, but Vanderbilt is a 6.5-point favorite tonight. And the Nashville Predators are in Boston to take on the Bruins at TD Garden. Puck drop for that one is at 6 p.m. Central this evening. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour, getting started on Ramon and Will on a frigid Tuesday morning in Music City. PFF's Trevor Sikma joining us in 15 minutes. Ramon Foster in Hendersonville. Myself, Will Bowling in studio. Justin Hawkins at the controls. Streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Ramon, Dabo Swinney and Clemson are taking a stand and are airing out Ole Miss's dirty laundry because a linebacker who was in class at Clemson is now flipping to Ole Miss after committing from Cal, who plays in the ACC. You with me? Okay. Luke Farrelly is this guy's name, and Dabo Swinney took to the microphone last week. We're not going to play the audio, but you probably heard about this. Talking about how, the head coach is just going to do what he does, and he's texting my player while he's in class, allegedly sending a picture of a check for $1 million. And we've got players that are, and we've got players at Ole Miss that are texting my linebacker who's in class with us right now. And Dabo Swinney took a stand and aired all this out and was just totally upfront about it. And I commend him for it. But Ramon, did he kind of tell on himself and tell on Clemson that there are programs that are going to do whatever it takes to win? And then there's Clemson. Are you at that point with the message that he sent? Was he really helping himself by airing all this out?
I think he does for the silent coaches that are a lot like him. I think that's who he's choosing to try to step up for, is the coaches that won't order, that want a process, that says, hey, if you got a kid that's already in class and semester started, leave them alone. It's all right. We'll go find another version of it. I think that's what he's asking for. To your point about airing out what Clemson is, Dabo Swinney, sir, you might be too good for this profession. Because the ones who are in it to win it, the ones who believe that I want the best players no matter the cost, they're showing you what it looked like. And that's just kind of where I am, Will. I think with him saying that, I think Clemson has money. I think his reputation is a part of it. I just personally look at Dabo and say, you might be beyond the times right now. You might need to pull a Nick Saban. You're too good for this, is the way he's acting, Will. And here's the thing. He may be doing the exact same things that they are, but we had the conversation before Clemson fell apart. He has been attempting to make his team better through high school recruiting, retain all of his guys in the transfer portal. And we were shocked when he went out and got a wide receiver. What was it, last offseason? They jumped in the portal. His method is not keeping up with the times, though. He's attempted to do it right, and Dabo might just have to He might just have to take watch Casino or watch Goodfellas or Godfather or something. He too nice for this, Will, is the way I look at it.
The tricky thing is, Ramon, if Indiana is heads, Clemson is tails. They are two opposite sides and timelines of the same coin. I mean, Indiana is not spending at the level of Ole Miss or LSU or Miami or Texas.
LSU.
Or even really Tennessee, to be quite honest with you. And they just won the national championship. Clemson was supposed to be Indiana this year. They were. And honestly, their quarterback had already been there in Cade Klubnik, and their coach had already won a national championship. And they had a three-headed monster at wide receiver, and they returned a lot. I mean, heck, it's not a totally exact comparison because Indiana brought in transfers and they brought in proven players. They just had proven it for other teams. But like Clemson players had proven they were at least good. And at the end of last season, we're getting better and we're on the ascent. And they were supposed to be the veteran-laden, culture-building, we're not going to go spend. It's team before me. And then they win the Pinstripe Bowl and Indiana wins the national championship. That is the thing that confuses me, Ramon, is what worked for Indiana that didn't work for Clemson?
What didn't work for Clemson is, one, to your point about the development of his quarterback and not looking outside the pocket. He didn't develop Cade Klubnik the way you needed him to. I will say defensively, they'll have first rounders or second rounders at all levels of that defense as well. But to supplement his in-house recruiting with high school development is not matching what everybody else is doing. That, to me, Will, is a separator between Indiana winning the Natty and them winning the Pinstripe Bowl is the maturity of the guys he have in that room. Like, maybe a little bit more age is necessary for Clemson to get over the top. Here's the other part, though, too, Will, if you're looking at that. If we're comparing Indiana to Clemson, who would have ever thought that was in a conversation with basketball or football? Maybe, Dabo, your message is getting tired and old, or you're not as good of a coach as you thought you were with the resources that you have. To your point about exposing himself, that's the issue that I think you can take up with Dabo is I feel I feel like he's going to get Coach Forward. You know, like we've given you everything that you said you needed and you won't change even more. So we got to get rid of you, Dabo. Like his whole holier than thou speech that he's giving is falling on deaf ears because everybody else is cooking.
Yeah.
And the ACC is having problems with what you think they are as a division. I mean, as a conference too. I mean, I know Miami just played in the national championship, but look how Miami had to go do it, Dabo.
Yeah. They had to go get a quarterback who had already turned pro and convince him to come back to school. And he agreed to come back to school and play quarterback for Miami. And that's not to say that Miami was in the national title because of Carson Beck, but he is a symptom of what the illness is. It's greed. It's like it's the kind of greed we talk about in the Old Testament, the way some of these boosters and programs are with coveting and spending money and bringing in players. And it's working for a lot of them.
I'll add this to it. The issue that Clemson is having, though, too, is watching everybody else around them in their recruiting areas be good or get good or elevate themselves up. South Carolina's paying a crazy amount of money for recruits in the Carolinas and Georgia and Virginia.
Yeah.
Tennessee's doing the exact same thing, too. Look at North Carolina and their attempt to jump back into that boat. And, of course, Georgia's just pillaging everybody in the Southeastern Conference and on the East Coast in general. Dabo either better catch up or get played out. It's the way I look at it too.
Yeah.
You can't be in a position that he's in and be this chatty and upset about it to try to appease the parents or his in-house recruits and not win big time games either, Will.
Yeah, I thought Matt Hayes had a good piece about it at USA Today saying, Clemson is not competing at the same whatever it takes level when it comes to player acquisition. There's not. And that I do think is probably where you get a little bit of the separator between them and Indiana. Indiana is at least more willing to shop. Mm-hmm. Clemson is more willing to give their guys time to grow. There's not a guarantee that guys that were C+, B- level players are just automatically going to be B+ or A- level players a year later. Sometimes they are. Sometimes under the same system, they'll get better, but I think it's that part of it. I also think that Clemson has fallen behind in staffing. And I think that where programs like Tennessee can make up what they lack in talent and in money to spend in the transfer portal with scheme and with X's and O's, I haven't seen that same level from Clemson defensively since Brent Venables left for Oklahoma. And that, to me, is where I think they have been not on the same level as some of these other teams in Indiana who had Broyles-level assistants on both sides of the ball this past season to develop those guys that they didn't have to spend buku bucks for.
It's two things for me, man, before we go into this break is this. One, I'm surprised Dabo hadn't gotten tired of this. Like, I think
he
the
has.
way he went on that podium and complained, like, I feel like he's a year away from bowing out. And then the other part for him for speaking his truths, Will, and I sympathize with him because I know he wants to do right in this college world. Well, that was a week ago he gave this speech. Nobody's even talking about it anymore. And then Jordan Seaton commits to LSU on top of that.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's over and done with. He poured his heart out for 2 days of news, and then that's it for him. So go back to battle and decide if you want to, do this again next year, Dabo, because I don't think it's going to stop. You got high recruits that probably aren't playing, and teams want them.
Clemson has lost 20 games in the 5 NIL seasons. In the previous 10 before that, Ramon, they only lost 18 games. In the previous 10 years before NIL, they lost 18 games. And in the 5 with NIL, Clemson has lost 20 games. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
How about this
show
one?
the rings no more.
In the 10 years before NIL, Ole Miss was 61-61. Clemson was 121-18. In the years since NIL, Ole Miss 52-15, Clemson 47-20, despite being in a much easier conference.
Sound like an old man that's about to get aged out, Will.
Hope you enjoyed the national championships, Clemson fans, because I don't think you're going to be competing for them anytime soon, at least not in football. Coming up, lead draft analyst of Pro Football Focus, Trevor Sikma, joins us on the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. Trevor and that whole team do a great job of fixing your franchise. And they've done one on the Titans. On how to fix the Titans. They do this on a number of teams as they hire coaches, as they rebuild. Right. I'm curious Trevor Sikma's take on how to rebuild the Titans. How fixable are the Titans in just this offseason? From the 30,000-foot view as we head into the 2026 offseason. We'll talk all that and more with Trevor Sikma of PFF next. All right, so you've been spending more time around the house this week if you've been snowed in and you notice that things are just not clean. I'll tell you one better. Maybe you are tracking in so much dirt and ice and residue from the weather we've got going on that your carpets don't just need clean. They need a deep clean, a lasting clean. They need zero res. Hey, it's Will Bowling. January is the time to clean and purge, especially after being snowed in. And the science behind ZR Water's cleaning agents are much healthier than using soaps and detergents to clean. So here's what Zero Res is going to do. They're going to give you a smarter, more lasting clean. There's no harsh chemicals. There's no soap residue. Faster dry times, and things are going to stay cleaner longer. As we begin to thaw out in Middle Tennessee, you got to get Zero Res in there to take care of you. ZeroResNashville.com is the website. You can book online there. ZeroRezNashville.com, or you can call them 615-535-9376. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. Call them at 615-535-9376. And don't forget to ask about their air duct cleaning. Well, today is a very big day because today, Ramon Foster, we have a first in the big 2026. Today is the first time that we have got a guest on to talk about the 2026 NFL Draft. I'm very excited about this. Mark it down. We're going to be warm in April. It's frozen right now. We're going to be warm in April. Joining us to do that is PFF's Trevor Sikma, the NFL Stock Exchange podcast, a must-listen for NFL fans. Trevor, it feels good to talk NFL Draft. How are you this morning?
Fellas, I'm doing great. I appreciate it. This is an honor. I had no idea that I was kicking off draft coverage, so it's a lot of responsibility, and I'm excited to be on with you guys. I appreciate you having me.
Well, absolutely. And Trevor, I also see on Twitter yesterday that your wife, Alyssa Lang, is doing Vandy, Kentucky tonight at Memorial Gym. So you're on with us here in Nashville. She's doing Vandy, Kentucky. You guys are just taking over the city of Nashville here today and dividing and conquering.
That is very true. She's also on a generational basketball run right now. She's doing that game, then she's doing Spurs Rockets tomorrow, then she's flying out West Coast doing the Warriors game this weekend. So, as I tell everybody, she is by far the real superstar in our house, and including our dog, who a lot of people know because he's cute. I'm the third most famous living thing in our house anyways. And so, I appreciate you guys having the third person on the Sikma Lang depth chart household in here to talk about NFL Draft.
Well, Trevor, there's somebody that's glad you placed it that way. His name is Ron Slay, and he told me to tell you, don't come on here with that damn Gator talk after sending shots through Alyssa at him. So I just wanted to go ahead and get that out the way, just so you know.
Oh, man, Slay's the best. I appreciate it. I made sure to, when Florida and Tennessee were playing not long ago in college basketball, and Florida won, of course, I made sure to have my wife tell them I said, go Gators, while they were in the studio. So
they played, but it was not much of a game. That is for sure.
No, it wasn't.
That is for sure. All right, Trevor, well, you guys do a great job on the podcast about, I love the Fix Your Franchise series. And I know you guys did one of these on the Titans back in October, and things kind of changed a little bit down the stretch, at least for Cam Ward and for this offense, and they found a way to run the football. As you look at this offseason, Trevor, and what the Titans have got to do, people are going to draw the comparisons with New England and first-year head coach, a lot of cap space, the ability to kind of rebuild things quickly. How fixable for you, Trevor, are the Titans this offseason from the broad perspective?
Yeah, I mean, they're absolutely fixable, and I think that they're fixable in the sense that you feel good about the direction that you're going now with Robert Saleh as the head coach, and you feel like he's got the right direction in the room, and you feel good about that. And I like Mike Borgonzi. I'm a big Mike Borgonzi fan. You know, it's funny, when we have done those Fix Your Franchise series, we've been doing it for about 3 years now. Before Borgonzi was hired by the Titans, we would offer his name up there as like, hey, if they're going to move on, if they've got a GM opening, like, this is a guy that we really like, because everything that we have heard about him, I've never met him myself, but everything that we have heard about him talks about the football and the scouting mind that he is, and building the team the right way. And I know fans have heard that before, and sometimes they roll their eyes and they go, oh, great, they're asking us to be patient as we're bad again. No. It doesn't have to be like that. When you really have a draft class, and when you really have good head coach, general manager continuity, you can slingshot things. And I think for the Patriots specifically, a lot of people are going to bring up that example. Now, of course, you've got to nail it at quarterback, right? Drake May has been fantastic. I know he hasn't had the greatest postseason, but you do have to nail it at quarterback, and I think the Titans feel like they have in Cam Ward. But what the New England Patriots also did was completely 180'd their offensive line and really took their defensive line to the next level. They went out and they spent heavy capital on Milton Williams, who is a major reason why that team is in the Super Bowl. They got good depth defensive linemen as well. They're getting enough from their edge rushers to where their defensive line went from one of the worst in the NFL the previous season to middle of the pack, and in some games even playing like a top 10 unit. And then you look at their offensive line. I mean, that was a bottom 3 offensive line in the league in New England last year, and now you feel pretty good about it. And a lot of those guys are young guys. It's Will Campbell, it's Jared Wilson, it's players like that. Like, yeah, you got Morgan Moses on the right tackle as the veteran to anchor things, but it's emphasis on the trenches. And so, look, I think that it's true. There's a lot of needs on this Titans team, I think, throughout the roster, especially as we get into some potential roster cuts and free agent subtractions when we hit the open market in March. But to me, it is all about you've got to get the trenches right. And I would say specifically for Robert Saleh, somebody who likes to basically just run a lot of four-man fronts on his defense, you got to get guys who can win one-on-one up front. So if they feel like they can have that, I do feel like this team can get a lot better next year.
Trevor Sikma, PFF, our guest this morning under Moan and Will. Trevor, it does feel like there's two main names out there to be Robert Saleh's first offensive coordinator, Brian Daboll and Cliff Kingsbury. What kind of OC do you see getting the most out of Cam Ward next season? And do you like one of those two names, or even Adam Stenavich in Green Bay as an outside chance here over one of the others?
Yeah, of those names, I think I like Kingsbury the most. I really do. Now, there's a little bit of hesitation with Kingsbury, who I think his offense and how he likes to run things being very spread out, being willing to push the ball, and yet being somebody who likes to get the ball in the hands of his wide receivers and playmakers quickly. He's been creative no matter where he has been, whether it's been college football or the NFL. We obviously saw what he was able to do with Jaden Daniels, and I like that pairing the most. But there was some talk about, hey, this past year, the whole reason why he's not still in Washington, despite a really good rookie season with Jaden Daniels, was maybe Dan Quinn, who was the defensive-minded head coach. He wasn't always thrilled with how up-tempo Cliff Kingsbury was being with the offense, especially when Jaden Daniels was not out there to really make things happen as the superstar that he is. So there were some times that there were a lot of quick 3-and-outs, a lot of quick offensive possessions, and there was some headbutting philosophically between Kingsbury, who has been a head coach before at all levels, and the head coach who was there in a defensive-minded guy in Dan Quinn. Is that something that maybe potentially becomes a problem with the defensive-minded head coach in Robert Saleh? I think that's something just to think about there, but schematically, and what we've seen from Kingsbury and some of the things that he did with Kyler Murray. Remember, it was with Cliff Kingsbury that Kyler Murray, what was this, 4 years ago now, when Kyler had that MVP caliber season. And then obviously we saw the season that Jaden Daniels was able to have last year. So Kingsbury has been an integral part of that. And if they have the chance to get him, I really do think that he's the guy who could get a ton out of Cam Ward in his second season.
We're joined by Trevor Sikma of PFF, talking pre-draft and Titans. Trevor, when you look at these two types of offense that we've brought up, Brian Daboll or Cliff Kingsbury, a good component of the yards made is through the quarterback's legs. How do you view Cam Ward and his athleticism to run the football? Do you see it being a part of his game, or do you expect either one of those OCs to ask him to run the ball more?
See, I'm a little bit hesitant to do that. That's why I do like Kingsbury more than I like Daboll in that regard. Not that Daboll can't adjust, but I think the way that he wants offenses to be run, Daboll has always been at his best when he has had some sort of a legitimate rushing threat. And where Cam Ward, he's got some scoot to him, right? He's a decent athlete. He's not somebody that I want to ask to run QB power, or, okay, hey, Cam, here's the option. You've got one progression in the passing game. Take a look at the coverage, see if you're putting a guy in conflict, and if you're not, tuck the ball and run. I don't really want Cam to be one of those quarterbacks. It's not even from an overall athleticism standpoint, guys. It's because this is the biggest issue that I have with Cam Ward. He's got to fix the fumbles. I mean, when I was writing a scouting report coming into the NFL, yeah, sure, Cam, when people would talk about, he turns the ball over too much, is the way that he pushes the ball deep down the field in the passing game, is that going to work in the NFL? I wasn't really worried about that. What I was worried about is all the fumbles that he had when he was in college, and then he had 11 last year to lead the NFL. So all of a sudden, if you're putting the ball in his hands more, you're more susceptible to that. So I think that before we even have the athleticism, can Cam Ward be a legitimate sort of dual threat rushing quarterback option? You've got to make sure that this guy's able to hold on to the ball the way that he needs to. Because if you are, then I think, yeah, you could unlock some added mobility from him. But That is step one, and I'd be a little bit wary of a Brian Daboll offense. I still like Brian Daboll as an offensive coordinator, so it's not like I'd say if he gets hired, I think it's a bad hire or anything. It's just something that has to be addressed with Ward, specifically in the way that we've seen Brian Daboll call offenses for quarterbacks in the past.
Trevor, having played the position, man, of quarterback, you understand it a little bit more. You understand offenses from a 30,000-foot view. How fixable or how quickly can you fix this offense with the lack of weapons that it has right now? I'm not sure what they're going to do with Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears. They got young wide receivers. I'm not sure about Calvin Ridley. My question is, where do you start to piece it together as far as free agency and draft to get weapons? And I like to say just who a threat on offense. Who's going to go into the stadium and say, we got to watch that guy? How fast can you turn that around?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a world where you can turn it around pretty quick, but outside of the playmakers, I really just think it has to be the offensive line, right? I mean, like, okay, you signed Dan Moore to all that money. Are you happy with him being the guy at that left tackle spot for at least 2 more years? Maybe it's 1 more year because of a little bit of flexibility in his contract. You look at the interior offensive line. All right, you got Peter Skoronski, but what's the long-term future of Cushenberry? Kevin Zeitler is obviously no spring chicken. And then I think the biggest question for this entire offseason, guys, is actually, what does this new staff think of J.C. Latham? Is J.C. Latham a right tackle? Are you kicking him into guard? What are you doing with him? Because I think you need to have a definitive, and I think you need to have the correct answer, whatever that is, to where he is playing. Because I think that a lot of this offseason, where, of course, people are going to talk about, like, hey, they need a wide receiver 1, they need a better playmaker out of the backfield, all of that stuff, you have to, going back to the New England conversation, you have to be able to fix the offensive line first. And so I know they've got, Oli Udoh on the roster as well. Jackson Slater is there. Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon is there as a depth offensive lineman. Like, do you think that any of these guys are options for you? Because that is question number 1 that has to be answered, is what is the future of J.C. Latham, and then how do you build the offensive line and improve the offensive line around him? After that, I would tell you that I actually like a lot of the young pieces that they have. Chimere Dike obviously was great as a punt returner. He was great in the slot last year. He came on as that wide receiver that was reliable for them towards the end of the season. I'm a big Alec Iomaner fan. I don't think that Calvin Ridley's going to be on this team next year, but you go to the tight end spot, Gunnar Helm was really starting to get into the mix. So you've got some good younger playmakers here on this team, and it's easier to find those complementary pieces. I talk team building all the time, and something that I tell people, because a lot of people over-obsess about wide receivers, and I would tell people that you have the chance, every single team in the NFL has the chance to get a wide receiver 1 caliber talent at least every other year. We have seen these guys become available and on the trade block, like guys like Tyreek Hill. We've heard like AJ Brown, obviously moving from the Titans to the Eagles. Like, it's just something that happens. There's a lot more top tier wide receiver veteran talent that might hit the trade block for whatever reason than you would expect from other positions. You'll also have the opportunity to draft one of these guys at least once over the next 2 years. And so, yes, pass catcher and offensive playmaker weapons is important for this team to think about and add over the next 2 years, I would say. But I wouldn't put a wide receiver need above a general offensive line need at this point. I think that you will be able to, if you emphasize the offensive line the right way, the timeline will be right for you, and you will be able to find a spot where you're able to add a pretty great wide receiver as well over the next 2 years.
PFF's Trevor Sikma, our guest. Ramon is fist bumping that and is certainly in agreement of that. It sounds like y'all been comparing notes. Trevor, if this was
relationship,
that's right. If this was April, I might ask you for 1 fit for the Titans at 4, but obviously this is far from April and this is January. So for the first time, Trevor, I'm asking someone on these radio waves: is there a fit you like for the Titans with the number 4 overall pick as we sit here today?
I think the Titans can go a ton of different directions. And unfortunately, I wish that there was an obvious offensive line choice for them. And we might get to the point where we get to April and maybe there is, right? Francis Mauigoa, who is the right tackle for Miami, a big built offensive lineman who started at right tackle for the last 3 years for the Miami Hurricanes. He's got a ton of experience to him. Okay, he's not like I just wrote his official scouting report actually last night, and it's like, okay, he may not be like a franchise tackle, right? He might not be a Tristan Wirfs or a Penny Sewell, but this is a guy who I think could absolutely be starting in this league for a long, long time. So do you think about him as an option, either at number 4 or maybe a trade down option and then picking him a little bit later? That's a plug and play right tackle for you. You can move J.C. Latham to the inside. Now all of a sudden you feel maybe a little bit better about that offensive line. So I do like him as an option. He's probably the offensive lineman, in my opinion, that makes the most sense for the makeup of their offensive line already. I guess offensive coordinator could potentially change that if they want to get a little bit lighter and faster, but he's the guy I would think about there. And then there's 2 other players. You flip over to the defensive line. We've talked a lot about offense for this team, but I'd flip over to the defensive line. Ruben Bain Jr. from Miami, David Bailey from Texas Tech. Those are the 2 players that I would also heavily consider if I was Tennessee. And they're very different players, right? David Bailey is much more of that stand-up outside linebacker type. He wins with such great twitch, an incredible first step, good bend. He's not somebody who's going to be like I'm not trying to say that he's not a 3-down lineman, but like, okay, he might get exposed in the run game a little bit. He's not going to hold up against double teams or a lot stronger offensive tackles at the point of attack. And so you'll have to live with a little bit of that, but I think that you will for how many sacks and pressures and tackles in the backfield this guy is going to have for you. And so it just kind of depends on what Robert Saleh wants to do. He's traditionally run that 4-down defensive lineman-based system, and so for me, that tells me that David Bailey might be a little bit more of a fit for him because he needs those one-on-one pass rush winners. But if they believe that Ruben Bain Jr. from Miami, if they're not worried about the arm length, if they don't think that he's an interior defensive tackle, if they think that they're very comfortable putting him next to Jeffrey Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat, well, now all of a sudden you've got a big, powerful, athletic defensive line. And so it just kind of depends on what the flavor is there of defensive linemen. But if they are sticking at number 4 overall, those 3 guys are the first ones that come to mind of players who could be, I think, really impactful picks for them.
I love it. Trevor Sikma, our guest at Tampa Bay Trey on Twitter, where you get him. Download the NFL Stock Exchange podcast as well. Excellent stuff with him and Connor Rogers, their whole crew over there at Pro Football Focus. Trevor, we appreciate you being our first draft guest. We may be calling you again before April. Appreciate it as always.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it, guys. Anytime.
Yes, sir. All right. Trevor Sikma with us here this morning, talking NFL draft and talking Titans. Some things I want to react to there, Ramon. Because there was another mock draft that had the Titans taking an offensive lineman yesterday, and there was a lot of surprise about this on social media. Trevor is in the same boat, and from the look on your face that I'm seeing through the power of Zoom, it looks like you are as well. We'll talk about it next. Stop me if you've heard this before, but there is a reputable mock draft that has the Tennessee Titans taking an offensive lineman with their first pick. Ramona will wrap it up the show. Trevor Sikma kind of talked me into it, Ramona. I'm not going to lie to you. And yesterday, Daniel Jeremiah at NFL.com mocked Francis Mauigoa, right tackle from Miami, to the Tennessee Titans. Look, I think Trevor's on the right path, Ramon, that skill players will get better if your quarterback has more time to throw and if your offensive line is better on early downs of the run game and is setting you up in third and more manageable. And I know people are tired of it, but is this a legitimate option, offensive line with the 4th overall pick?
I think it is. It makes sense. Is it the option everybody want? Absolutely not. Well, it'll be boring. It'll be more of the same. And everybody asks the question, well, can we ever hit on an offensive lineman? Does it matter who it is? What I would tell you is this. I'm trying to sign into the account now and look at the lineup. But I've seen teams make this move before. Where they have starting tackles. They feel like a marginal at the position and they move them inside. Here's what I will say about that as well, though, too, as I look for the lineup of the New England Patriots, is Vrabel moved in, was it a Winu, if I'm not mistaken?
Mike Onwenu, yes.
Onwenu. So he was a starting right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
They moved him in, brought in
Morgan Moses.
Morgan Moses.
Yep.
Brought in Morgan Moses and made that offensive line big.
And signed
they made it a strength considering how
Bradbury at center, too.
Yes. So a reshuffling. This conversation about J.C. Latham has come up numerous times. He was good, then he was spotty during the season as well. If you can bring in Francis, I mean, as far as just overall talent on the offensive line, this is Detroit-like. This is New England-like. This is, I mean, a lot of teams that have kind of reshaped themselves into this world. You see the benefit of it, though, as well. So I got a feeling that Robert Saleh is going to want to reestablish his bigs. I just don't know if it's going to be O-line. But you got two national people now will bring in that conversation up. I'm not pushing it. I didn't start it. Don't blame me because I'm on the show as an offensive lineman. I didn't do this, Will.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's certainly up for discussion. Brian on YouTube says, there still isn't a number one receiver on this roster. So, yeah, our 3 and 4 will get better. But where are our 1 and 2? Well, Brian, that's what free agency's for. I mean, that's why, again, I'm hesitant to really go in the weeds on draft in January. We don't even know what this team needs. But there are a few positions where they're going to need to do both. And they're going to need to draft it and sign it. And offensive line, just as a whole, is one. They got to fill right guard because I don't know if Kevin Zeitler's running it back here next year. They've got to find multiple corners. And they probably have to find multiple receivers. And if they bring back Chikakonkwo, or if they don't, they might have to find a tight end or multiple ones of those as well who can block or who can catch and who can do both. So, like, yeah, I think it's definitely on the table. I want to talk more about this tomorrow because I had the numbers on all the offensive line today to talk about earlier. We didn't get to it. And there was real progress made down the stretch. The question, Ramon, becomes, for Robert Saleh, was it enough progress that he can see on film to say, yep, I'm willing to trot out J.C. Latham at right tackle again to start next year? Or is it still, things were so bad early in the season, and yeah, he may have been banged up, but I can work with him at right guard?
Yeah. And the other part, too, how long of an adjustment are you giving J.C. Latham to work inside? We got to think about the struggles that Peter Skoronski had coming from college going into guard. He's just not getting his feet underneath him. So it's his team now. And I'm interested to see how he wants this to look. I mean, he's played with one of the greatest ever, coached one of the greatest ever, and Trent Williams on that left side. So it'll be fascinating to see how he reshapes this thing.
I will say today, with the ability to change my opinion because it's our show and we make the rules, I'll say today, Ramon, that I would be surprised to see the Titans draft an offensive lineman with the 4th overall pick. I will, however, not rule out them finding a partner, trading back, and drafting an offensive lineman in the first round.
I'm not even going to try to push it. Not just yet. To your point, until we get more clarity on that. Yeah. until we get more clarity in free agency has to happen as well to see where you position yourself. Right. Because I didn't think New England would get all they're getting right now to Morgan Moses. For them to make that move to move a winner to the inside. And he's paid too, by the way.
Onwenu played a little bit of both too, because he was a guard early in his career. He was a tackle last season, but he's played a lot of both. Yeah, that's an easier transition for him than JC. He played a lot of both. Yeah, I was just looking at his snap count for sure.
Yeah. Fascinating conversation. I'm gonna be real with you, Will. You had this. I did not have this on my radar from Daniel Jeremiah or Trevor Sikma at all.
It's gonna be interesting. I will say this. I would rather draft offensive line at 4 than Jeremiah Love.
Understood.
I'm out on Jeremiah Love with the 4th pick. I can find a running back anywhere. I don't need to spend the 4th pick on one when there are things I can't find anywhere that I need to get with my 1st-round pick. That's just me.
That's a luxury piece right there.
Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean that he's a bad prospect. He could come here and I'd get excited and I'd probably get on board and see the vision if they could sell me on it. But I'm more open to O-line. Yeah. Back at it tomorrow morning. Grant Ramey will be here to respond to us yesterday, calling it the year of Mike Wilson. Rhett Bryan as well, scheduled to join us at 9 o'clock. It'll be a Tennessee basketball game day. Vandy, Kentucky tonight to talk about. Lots to get into as always. Back at it bright and early, 6 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Remember at all times, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot, baby.